battle-hardened San Diego has come down to these 8 battle-hardened competitors. Let's take a look quickly at our bracket here. We saw this on the other stream. Welcome everyone to the top 8 stream. We have, of course, Nicholas on Prism facing off against Justin on Azalea, the Zen Mirror, Brodie and Naib, the 2 World Travelers, Majin and Tyler. That will be our feature match. It's not Zen Tamer of Purpose, it is Enigma, actually. So Majin versus Tyler on Enigma, and then Anthony Pham Riptide versus Eugene Galopchik on Kano. Rest in peace to Anthony in that matchup. You have to imagine that's going to be a tough one for him, but maybe he will take the miracle and pull it out.
What are you talking about, Sam? I'm worried about Eugene in that matchup.
Yeah, what am I talking about?
Anthony Pham is a fearsome competitor, and if there's anybody that can take down that match, it's definitely him. Let's
go ahead and dive, I think, pretty immediately down into our game here. It's going to be Tyler Horspool on Enigma. We just, for whatever reason, he's such a villain that he has hacked into our computer network. He is making it impossible for us to mention the correct hero. Versus Majin Bay on Kano Drakaev Aether. So the pictures are correct. The hero names are not perfectly correct, but those pictures are accurate. You can count on Kano versus Enigma here. This is going to be a fascinating back and forth matchup. Some used to be like, oh, how could Kano ever win into Enigma when the cards were first spoiled? And then like, oh, Waning Moon actually makes this much more interesting, much more challenging for Enigma to just run away with this game. Reality Refractor might change that math. When you look at this matchup, Bryce, what are your thoughts?
It's really interesting. We've seen a couple examples of this in our AG streams over the past couple months. Last month, famously, Zachary Wallach took out Eugene Galopchik, who is also in the top 8, on Enigma. He was, however, playing that Cosmo scroll list. He just resolved a really early Manifestations of Mirror guy, and Eugene just could not deal with that board at a certain point. And 40 points of value later for Zach, and Eugene was out of gas, unfortunately. We're hoping that this is a bit more of an example of the grindy play style that can happen between these 2 heroes, but time will tell. Majin Bay, however, starting off all right, pitching off his Eye of Ophidia, turn 0.
Yeah, getting a little bit of optionality, seeing if you want to get some damage down across the table to start things off.
I'll hit you for 10. What the hell, man?
And this is the time to be doing some Kano shenanigans because Enigma does not have that ward board set up that can really mitigate some of his damage. So looks like we go ahead and find a sap on the top of Kano. Gonna play it out. Looks like Tyler Horspool has no issue covering that up with some AB.
Sporting AB3 is Tyler. We have the Crown of Reflection, the Null Rune Gloves, and the Silent Stilettos to couple alongside the Tunic and the Reality Reflector. Standard equipment loadout from Majin, though, of course, the Waning Moon that does go ahead and complicate certain things.
Let's take a look at that Reality Refractor again, please, Christine. For the folks at home who haven't seen this card, this is a really interesting way to play Enigma. We saw it showcased in that last round 7 matchup, but Tyler Horspool is championing this new kind of fangled style of Enigma. Majin, however, finding a Tome of Fiendal on the top, continuing to draw cards on his turn 0 play in the top 8 of battle-hardened San Diego.
Pitching away a Tome to play the Tome.
As Kanos are wont to do.
Yeah, pitching that Tome to Kano, excuse me. That is going to now allow him to look at that card off the top.
Finding another Tome.
I'm not going to do anything, but I'm going to cycle all these.
Much is saying, I'm not going to do anything with these cards, but at least I am trying them. Putting a Blazing and a Aether Wildfire to the bottom, theoretically next to each other alongside the Eye of Ophidia here. Finding a Wounded Bull, that is a very powerful card that you can attack into the Enigma player as well as the Energy Potion.
And that was a Blazing Aether on top, if I'm not mistaken. Majin decides to just leave that on top, doesn't want to banish it this early.
And looks like you used the action point already with that Gaze the Ages earlier after playing the Zap.
Kiwi Stalker, we've got our eyes on it. We're double checking the text underneath Tyler Horspool's name.
Tyler Horspool.
Obviously, he is not on Kasai of the Golden Sands. We've got Enigma, Ledger of Ancestry. And Tyler busting out that Spectral Manifestations, a card that makes massive waves in the limited format of Part the Misfail, but is typically not used here in CC. Tyler Horspool says, nah, I want to use that. I want to use it with Reality Refractor because instead of this Spectral Shield coming in for only 4 with those 3+1 counters. Instead, it's coming in for a big bad 8, Sam.
That's crazy. Yeah, no go again, but does have just the power to go ahead and swing on in. And the Spectral Shield attack, of course, still gets the reduction, question mark? Still gets the cost reduction thanks to Enigma.
Yes, it does.
Wow, very cool.
Yes, it does. So, pitch a blue, swing for 8 with something that sticks around on the board.
Yeah, pretty good. Now, I talked to Majin. He said the matchup is definitely tricky. I asked a little bit of the game plan, and he said to me, I know Tyler is going to want to play those and have the game plan be a lot around the Spectral Manifestations, the card we've just seen resolved. He's like, I can't let those stick around. That's basically a large part of the game plan, so you have to imagine he's going to be have eyes as big as dinner plates looking at the Spectral Shield with those big counters.
Yes, and Tyler's strategy basically boils down to establish one of these nasty, big Spectral Shields and then protect the President. At every turn, just use every other card in his hand to take the bullet from whatever Majin is trying to use to remove Tyler's board. And this is quite a card to do it.
Yeah, this is 8 damage coming across the Wounded Bull, threatening not only 8 damage into Enigma's life total here, but of course threatening to clear that Spectral Shield, as even though it attacked for 8, it still only wards for 1.
And interestingly enough, Majin continues to pack these Wounded Bulls, not just for the Kano Mirror, but also for this Enigma matchup, which is interesting because it could be on top of his deck at a really bad time, Sam. Especially when he's trying to do instant speed shenanigans to remove some of these Spectral Shields while they're still on the combat chain. I can't imagine he would be happy to see a Wounded Bull on the top of his deck.
Currently setting up a block for 6. React from the bottom. It's going to be a Moon Chakra and then an immediate Transcend as well with the Preserved Tradition, getting to put that Spectral Manifestations right back on the bottom of the deck. So the card that Majin identified is incredibly important to Tyler's game plan, and clearly Tyler has identified as well. We're going to potentially get to see that card resolved at the very least 4 times if we can get there. And the Moon Chakra, of course, going to cover up all that damage, as that Transcension will allow it to block even more than it should normally.
Yeah, Moon Chakra is such a powerful card in the blue, especially when you are jiving it with one of those pesky Transcend cards. And so here we go. Another Spectral Shield for 8.
Really cool way to play this deck. 8 damage coming across. Got a CNC headed to the arsenal there, so that won't have as much blocking power as the Moon Chakra did. But here's 8 more damage that Majin has to think about.
Majin having a laugh as Tyler Horspool enacts his game plan, sends over another 8, and Majin says, again? Are you planning to do this all game, Tyler Horspool?
2 floating. There's a Zap. Or Sap. There's a Sap, so that would also threaten this attack as well. And of course, if a Spectral Shield is destroyed thanks to the ward before the resolution step, the Go Again does not have a chance to resolve, and the turn would be over, even though there's actually no Go Again on the Spectral Shield anyway, because of the Reality Reflect.
But that 8 damage doesn't get a chance to resolve.
Absolutely.
That's the bigger part of it.
I'll prevent 1 and then take...
That Waning Moon now will go ahead and take care of the Spectral Shield here, as with the CNC in the pitch, that's all Tyler is going to be able to do, is just block one of the damage with the AB, and that will take care of the Spectral Shield.
And so here we go. Majin showcasing his game plan into Tyler Horspool's Protect the President. Majin Bey says, take down the President. And down goes the Spectral Shield and the offensive potential of Tyler Horspool's board. Majin just establishing a combo piece, Arsenal pass. Do you think Majin wants this game to go longer, Sam?
Yeah, I think there is a potential that if the game goes too long, Tyler will have too many ward pieces that could interrupt the combo turn, but if he's able to stack something pretty gnarly onto the bottom of his deck, he could probably go over the top of any and all amounts of ward. The question is, will there be enough power and pressure from Tyler that makes the kind of quote-unquote pitch stack even more challenging. This here, CNC getting blocked for 6, coming in with the manifestations of Maragai after the fact. No cheap pitch, so just going to have the 2+1/+1 counters, but that card still does a lot of work even at half the amount of counters.
And Tyler, even though he's got a bit of a clunky hand in terms of action points, he's still able to capitalize on the instant speed shenanigans that Illusionist has access to. So he uses 1 action point with 4 cards and still is able to establish a nasty board and an arsenal for later.
Now for here, this is 3 damage represented from the Aether Flare, but then 2 more coming in after the fact, you have to imagine, with that Waning Moon. So Tyler's going to have to pitch 2 cards to save the manifestations to be able to swing for 4 on the next turn.
Which, as long as this is the only thing that's coming his way, which, based on the context of Majin Bey's lack of a hand, I suppose, that's probably something Tyler is very happy to do. Just donate 2 cards to the cause and then use 2 on his turn to send some offense Majin's way. He does, however, have another one of those, I believe red, can't see it, one of those red spectral manifestations in hand. So this is an opportunity where he could just say, I'm going to let the Manifestations of Miragai do its thing, cover up some damage, and then I'll reestablish a board in the easiest way possible. It was a yellow, however.
Manifestations, wow.
So maybe identified as not the most ideal play.
Interesting there from Tyler. Yellow, another thing that the yellow can do is it can pitch into the Reality Refractor because it just costs 2 there, so maybe yellow cards having a little bit of more purpose and power in the list as well. The Tenant of Chi is going to go ahead and get the block as well, and you can see Tyler actually putting that yellow one in front of the Tenant of Chi as well, so he wants that a little earlier in the pitch stack. This round's on me, another blue card headed into the pitch with some floating and another card in hand that can protect this 7 power manifestations. Last turn I was like, yeah, it'll attack for 4, but I keep forgetting about Reality Reflector. This just puts in so much work. We're not doing wide chains. We're doing one big turn. Bravo is here to stay, folks. He's just, you know, named Enigma now.
And he's throwing a bunch of fake things at his opponent rather than hammers. If only Kano can just wake up and realize that the Manifestations of Miragai doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying, Sam?
Yeah, Kano, what's wrong with you, dude? You sound crazy right now, Kano.
Wake up, man.
Kano, it's not even there, dude. Just gaslight Kano. Kano, there's nothing there, dude. You sound crazy right now.
Man, imagine if he can put a Wounded Bull in front of it, then it really won't exist.
Well, does that Phantasm, doesn't it?
No, you're right about that.
We're seeing some Kanos off the top
Kind
here.
of a power play.
Let's take a look. We've got Aether Quickening off the top as well as an Aether Dart. So let's see if Tyler would be able to cover all of that up. A blue in hand would really help because that Aether Quickening is going to be coming in for 4. But then from there, of course, the Waning Moon or the Zap might take care of the manifestations.
So here we go. Aether Quickening for 4. Comes in at a break point. It's going to force 1 arcane damage through unless Tyler has a prevention effect. We know from the context of his shoulder that he does not. I'm pretty sure we saw that card and it was a Chi card. Yep, that is a path well traveled.
No, we don't want to do that. Maybe 3.
Tyler says, J.K. Rafflemal, we don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, only have AB3. So prevent 1, and then allow the 2 ward to take care of 2 of the rest of the damage.
But also eliminate Tyler Horspool's damage potential for the turn.
Priority back on you. Whenever you do something. No. So like it blows up and then is it your priority? It's my priority. Okay, so your priority. I'll pass priority.
Figuring out who has priority, but Tyler had priority, passing the priority with no action point. 1 damage from the blue Aether Dart.
I'm gonna do something after this. Yeah.
And then we'll just go ahead and reestablish that board.
Tunic with a red, Waning Moon, take care of these second manifestations. So if you look there, Majin just trying to clear the first one. Tyler kind of waiting for the Aether Dart to resolve and come across, maybe trying to sniff out that there was no potential for the Waning Moon on the turn, but however, the Tunic along with the red did allow for Majin to go ahead and clear that second manifestation. So Tyler, 2 of those big power cards now in the graveyard. Back to his turn, but going to have to see what he can do from here.
You have to believe that Majin is setting up a stack with which to take care of Tyler Horspool's life total towards the end. We've seen him pitch some of those power cards. We've definitely seen a Tome of Aetherwind, and you know that's on his radar for second cycle. If Majin can find the instant speed shenanigans to take care of Tyler's board long enough, there's just always inevitability on the side of Kano.
No floating, attacking for 8 here. A little classic 2-card 8. Everybody's favorite numbers in Flesh and Blood.
Another bread and butter play from this Reality Refractor list. And this is the play that made Tyler brew this list, right? So Enigma makes your first Spectral Shield cost 1 less, which in Reality Refractor's case makes it cost 1. Spectral Manifestations cost 2, so on an empty board, establish a Spectral Shield, give it 3 counters, and swing for 8 off of 1 blue.
And what's nice about this deck, right, is it's not always easy to use the rest of your cards. In Tyler's case, he's happy to keep 2 cards in his hand because he now has cards that he can utilize to use for Arcane Barrier, right? So even though on certain turns he might be IPing himself 1 against other heroes, here against Majin Bey, he has some insurance to try to make sure some of his damage comes across. Majin Bey, 2 cards off the top here, 1 Potion of Deja Vu, 1 Cindering Foresight. Going to go ahead and opt 3.
And then, unfortunately, Centering Foresight is going to buff that next Arcane damage, probably putting it at a breakpoint that Tyler Horspool simply can't block because of the amount of AB3 amount of AB that he has presented.
Yeah, see if Tyler has something like a Waxing Spectre or a Waning Vengeance to try to cover up some of this damage. Players having a bit of a laugh.
Which that's the other cool part about this list that Tyler is sporting. He's got some of those instant speed auras that didn't really end up making the top tier Enigma list in CC, more of limited cards. It's kind of like he's just using Reality Refractor to take everything we loved about Enigma from limited and port it over to CC. Because, yeah, boy, would a Waning Vengeance be the perfect thing to cover up whatever it is Majin is trying to do to him.
Energy Potion in the pitch. That's going to be a big red Aether Spindle coming across with the Cindering Foresight buff. A lot of damage here threatening the Spectral Shield.
Going to be 5. Yep, down goes the Spectral Shield. Tyler's going to take 1. AB3 plus the Spectral Shield blocks 4. Aether Spindle hits for 5 total. Majin going to get a little bit of free information off that. Not as much as he typically gets on any given Aether Spindle, but whatever information he can get is all good with him.
Pass back does Majin Bay. Tyler Horspool just going to draw it back up, Tunic to 3.
It's really interesting to see a Kano playing this way, almost like you would imagine a Guardian to be playing, right? In most cases of Flesh and Blood, Kano is the one asking the question. And the question is, can you stop me from enacting my game plan, either by killing me or disrupting me so much with Arsenal Disruption, that kind of thing. In this case, it's Tyler Horspool saying, can you stop this basically 8 damage ward attack every single turn? And Majin is the one who has to answer.
Yeah, Majin also, while trying to answer these, he's using a lot of threats out of his deck, using red spells because they have the breakpoints. The question is, what is he going to be able to keep around, right, to utilize on his big combo turn if that is how he wants to win this game? If he utilizes too many of his threats to just deal with Tyler's board, he doesn't have a weapon, just like Tyler doesn't have a weapon. So it's going to be hard for him to actually close the game out. The Enlightened Strike there, a little bit ago again, tickled Majin for 2, 28 to 26, 15 minutes elapsed in this game. The Restless Coalescence, the follow-up here for Tyler, but with the Reality Refractor going to come across for a big chunk of damage as well.
Mm-hmm. Right you are, Sam. An E-Strike showcasing its versatility in declunking some of these clunky hands that Tyler Horspool has just inherently because of the nature of the deck, especially when he is constantly in the driver's seat because Majin is using all of his resources to remove threats constantly. Majin really in the think tank here. It makes me wonder what the context of his hand is. I'm sorry, Sam. Did I say hand?
Yes,
I meant shoulder
you
again.
meant kind of, because, you know, your hand is important in Flesh and Blood, but your shoulder is almost equally as important.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, 5 damage coming across thanks to the Reality Refractor here. Refractor, my goodness. Refractor.
Mm-hmm. Restless Coalescence, such an amazing card in this deck because of those spectral manifestations. You can almost always get value off of it. But, of course, not if the crackling Kano Drakai of Aether is constantly shooting down your auras every single turn.
And interestingly here, Majin still has a card in hand and in the arsenal after coming across with this Wounded Bull. Didn't want to use it on blocks, or maybe couldn't use it on blocks, but now Wounded Bull coming across, threatening that ward too. Tyler had the D-React the last time the big Icelander staple hit the combat chain, so let's see. I do think for Tyler on that last turn, because the Restless Coalescent wasn't blocked, fairly good turn for him, right? Got 10 damage across. But for Majin here, the 6 damage finally getting across Tyler's life total as the Ward 2 is the only defensive utilization for Tyler on the turn. Both players here getting a lick in, and it must be feeling good for both of them. We're going to see, looks like, another special manifestations. This is the yellow one, so clearly it's a big part of the deck.
Absolutely. I believe Tyler runs a rainbow set of those just because it's the core game plan of the deck. And so it's good enough to run the kind of middling yellow versions just because the whole game plan is centered around that card. And 7 is the ask from Tyler Horspool. The more I see Majin resolve these Wounded Bulls, the more I like them, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
Because honestly, if he is indeed going for this pitch stacking game plan, if he resolves every single one of his Wounded Bulls, Tyler is probably going to be pretty low on life for when he combos off, making it easier. And also, he's not going to have any issues seeing them in his stack because they will have all been played first cycle.
Mm-hmm. 7 damage here on the combat chain, courtesy of Tyler Horspool piloting this Enigma list.
That's Tyler Wicked Horspool
Tyler
this time.
Wicked Horspool. Blocking for 6 is Majin. One of those Aether Wildfires as well. Let's see. Do we have a pummel or anything? I don't think that would.
And here we go with the Astral Etchings.
Wow.
This is the other linchpin in this deck.
3 more +1/+1 counters. So Majin Bey going to go ahead and take a good chunk of that damage. It was an attack for 7. Now it's an attack for 10. Not a pummel, but is still a pump.
Now,
Majin
Sam,
down to 17.
I ask you, live in a world with me where that last card in Tyler's hand is Restless Coalescence. So we swing for 7, turns into 10. That last card is Restless Coalescence. Tyler resolves it after the damage has gone through. And then you have essentially 5 Spectral Shields that you can just pull into the arena at any time at instant speed. So it just makes it so that Majin would have to banish so many more sources of arcane damage to remove any one of these board pieces.
I would be happy to live in that world with you, my friend, because I think we may have just jumped into that reality as the Restless Coalescence hits the board from Tyler Horspool here. He's able to play it from his hand. Going to also potentially activate the Tunic. It's coming from there. 1 resource on the pitch zone. Let's see. He's going to just go ahead and utilize the 1 Spectral Shield and the 1 resource generated from the Find All Spring Tunic. And now he's going to be able to, on Majin's end step, create another Spectral Shield here. Everything's starting to come together for the Wicked Man himself. Another counter on the Tunic. Let's see what he's able to put together.
You know what else I see in that hand, Sam?
What? You got the
other Astral Etchings, baby.
Got the etchings.
Mm-hmm. We've also got a lot of other gas. We've got Levels of Enlightenment. Probably not going to be deployed here because that Waning Vengeance is red. There's not going to be another way for Tyler to get a blue pitch into the pitch zone, but that's okay because a blue pitch to fuel this turn is going to be just fine.
Firstly, it's just a Restless Coalescence coming across. So this is going to be Ward 5 with 4 +1/+1 counters. How about an attack for 9 here on the turn?
Indeed, and then we can also use that Astral Etchings with that 1 floating to pump it an additional 3. And also, give us more on-demand Spectral Shields. Why not?
Jeez. Restless Coalescence does so much work when you start to stack the counters up, but it also can just smack you for a lot when the Refractor is a part of the equation.
And this is really cool here because not only does Tyler have 1 Spectral Shield and then 1 that he could ostensibly create off of the Restless Coalescence, but he's also sitting on 1 resource that could be devoted to the Astral Etchings, could be devoted to the Waning Vengeance to protect the rest of this board.
Absolutely. A big Ward 3 could really change the equation here. Blazing Aether gonna go ahead, be banished to Kano here, and a blue Scalding Rain, so there's 2 points of arcane damage. Of course, the Waning Moon, if either of those are played, would come in for 3 points of arcane damage, so that Waning Vengeance deployed at the correct time could really be a game changer here. Also, the Waning Vengeance would create a Spectral Shield upon being blown up. And there's a Prognosticate as well, another point of arcane damage. This might be able, Majin might be able to clear through this big attack for 9.
And because of the context of Tyler's hand, Majin might just need to send, this is exactly what he needs, just small sources of arcane damage over and over again. He might be in trouble if Tyler had another blue in hand, but being an all-red hand, this might be able to clear the board.
Yeah, so Tyler here, if he wished, could remove another Spectral Shield. He could go ahead and remove a counter, create a Spectral Shield. That would allow for those 2 points to be, blown up or saved for Tyler here. But he's just going to use this 1 Spectral Shield and the 1 floating. Now he's going to go ahead and activate the once per turn instant, make another Spectral Shield. That'll save the Prognosticate.
And also bring this attack down to 8.
And then now he has 1 floating. This is an attack for 3, but now he's got a card in hand that he can play the Waning Vengeance. And that's going to go ahead and eat up the 3, create another Spectral Shield. And I think unless there's a card in the arsenal or we want to use some E-Pots here, Majin Bey might have just gotten this turn completely stuffed, and that 8 damage might come across.
And also that Blazing Aether that is sitting at the ready in the Banish Zone is not going to do anything because no arcane damage has been dealt through all of this ward.
Beautiful sequencing here from Mr. Villain, the Tyler staring down at this board with the mean mug of a cold, calculated killer. Let's see if he's able to get this 8 damage across. Taking Majin from 17 down to 8 would be a huge swing in this game. Masterfully sequenced through a somewhat tricky turn there with those red cards. That Astral Etchings might have been pretty juicy, but the Waning Vengeance might have just been the exact ticket for Tyler Horspool to look towards putting on just too much pressure for Majin Bay to think about.
Because even if Majin was to use one of his valuable potions and use it for the Waning Moon, which he is, it's just going to pop a Waning Vengeance and put another Spectral Shield onto the board.
Yeah, I think he'd have to pop those energy potions to look for Kano and have to find something that does more than one. That would be the only way here to get over this Spectral Shield that was just created from the Waning Vengeance.
And gosh, he's found so many sources of Arcane off the top. It's so risky to think that he could find one more.
No, and he's just going to ship the turn Blazing Aether with the Metacarpus node. He's going to go ahead and with the Metacarpus node pump it up to 1. Wow.
And he's doing this in response to the Spectral Shield coming into the battlefield. This is actually a really amazing play on Majin Bay's part.
Wow, fascinating from Majin here, deciding the Metacarpus node isn't going to be used for the combo, it's just going to be used to clear the Restless Coalescence. It cannot be allowed to not only stick on board, create more Spectral Shields, but also take Majin down nearly half his life total. Great play from both our players here in the top 8 of the Battle Hardened.
And here's the wild thing, Majin Bay just basically used the entirety of his 4-card hand to save 8 life.
Yeah, that's very true. Save 8 life, but the 8 life that would also stick around and basically an 8-power weapon. Tyler here not going to do anything instant speed on Majin's turn. Really fascinating, honestly, so fun to watch. Back and forth there from our players. Now the onus is back on Tyler. Can you keep running Majin out of some of the threats? We've seen one Aether Wildfire in the pitch, one be committed to blocking on the combat chain. Let's see what Tyler's able to string together here.
Now his board doesn't look super threatening, but that Spectral Shield... Oh, he's already got a board. Is he just going to create another Specky? Yes, he is. His board doesn't look super threatening, but remember, because of Reality Refractor, each of those Spectral Shields is representing a swing for 5. That's interesting. Did Tyler... He's taking a second. You think he wanted to resolve that Spectral Manifestations?
Yeah, not sure here. Majin, you see him just counting the deck, seeing where in the stack we are.
So this is for 5. The block is 3. Pass over to Tyler for reactions. This does not have go again. Tyler in the tank as John Zapata, member of the AGE Pro Team, looks on in the back of the player cam. Looks like Tyler's asking for a judge call here. Let's listen in.
After the damage has resolved, can I still target this attack?
No, because if the damage is resolved, the replacement effect has already happened.
Tyler's asking because he wants to resolve that drop in the ocean.
Yeah, and that's how that works. You can do it in resolution step.
Yep. That should be legal in the link step.
No, I'm attacking with the Spectral Shield. Yeah, okay. He's blocking. Oh, okay. After I do damage to him. Yes, okay. I was like, I thought you were playing. No, I thought. Yeah.
Looks like we've got it cleared up. Much to the relief of Tyler Horspool, or Pony Puddle on Discord. For a man so sinister, you wouldn't think his name on Discord is Pony Puddle.
I know. For such a mean guy, it's hard to imagine that he'd have such a, you know, lovely, little lilting and lovely sounding name. But
I always crack when we're doing this facade, Sam. Tyler's such a great guy.
He's the nicest.
Yeah.
He's the sweetest. He's the nicest. But for whatever reason, he has asked. He said, "I want to be the villain."
Gosh, he loves being the heel, doesn't he?
He loves.
It just makes me love him more.
Well, he also shows up. I remember when he showed up with like the cowboy outfit.
Oh, it's amazing.
He showed up like the Inigo Montoya, "You killed my father, prepare to die."
I missed that one.
Yeah,
that would have been my favorite.
He had the the eye patch on, or maybe it was just more of a pirate. I don't know, but. Waiting on the judge to confirm.
Guess we're still deliberating. I really think that this is a legal play, though. And the stakes here are Tyler dealing one more point of damage before playing that drop in the ocean and giving his attack -1. Now, the context of Tyler's hand, what we have left is another Transcend card on top of the drop in the ocean. So that's going to be 2 Chi in hand. And then we've got a Command and Conquer. So it's kind of interesting. I guess Tyler is expecting some arcane damage to come his way. So he probably wants to keep that second Chi that he's going to generate for arcane barrier blocking. If not, he's probably okay just passing with a blue in hand and arsenaling. One of those Chi is definitely going to be devoted to creating one more Spectral Shield with a +1 counter on it.
Tyler Horspool still sitting at 29, Majin Bay 17. You can see Majin once again just counting the deck, finding out where he is in the pitch stack.
This is the quarterfinals, Battle Hardened San Diego. This is our first top 8 match. Both players.
It's been an interesting game. I still need to draw a I did draw like one of each of the cards that I wanted, but they summarily got dismissed.
Yeah, Kano's pretty good about that.
It's so fun to watch high-level players, Sam, because you expect there to be like no love between them, right? Like they're not sharing information. Poker faces are on. In a lot of cases, that's true, but in these silent moments and judge calls, they just can't help but talk about flesh and blood. They love it too much, right?
Yep.
You see on like turns. I went first because I was so scared of you just playing a Spectre and saying go.
Yeah. You're like, well, I better draw a Wounded Bull or it's
This
over.
sucks. Yeah.
I think they're talking about, Majin did also tell me, depending on how much Spectra Tyler is able to resolve, Majin's only packing that one Scour.
I had to pitch a potion. That sucked. I had a couple weird spots, like the one where I had to Metacarpus my Blazing. That sucked.
Yeah, the players chatting a bit.
I got stuff happening. We'll see. We'll see if it's enough.
Always nice to hear what's going on in the minds of really solid players. Both these players totally used to, 1 being on stream and 2 being in the top 8 high-level events.
Yep. Tyler, of course, calling Las Vegas champion from the OG Prism chain.
No damage yet.
Looks like we have gotten our judge call. Damage is resolving, and in the link step, Tyler Horspool is going to play both of his Transcend cards.
Yep.
Now, this is a point where, while this is on the stack, Majin could say, hold that. I'm going to start banishing cards off the top of my deck and see if I can snipe this Spectral Shield.
3 cards that I'm like, I don't really want to draw.
But because damage has already gone through, it's probably not a necessary step for him.
So going to go ahead and shuffle the deck and give that Spectral Shield -1 post damage in the resolution step when both players have priority. So these are going to create a couple chi, one of which could make a Spectral Shield here. But without the action point, we'll have to see what else these cards are going to be able to be used for. Another Spectral Shield, this one with a +1 counter, and an Arsenal keeping a chi in the hand. So if Majin doesn't put enough pressure on, Tyler will be able to make another Spectral Shield with a +1 counter, which of course would come in for quite a bit of damage, though the Aether Spindle here going to threaten all these attacks, or all these Spectral Shields.
And putting Waning Moon on the stack first. It's an interesting play, being very heads up.
Yeah, I
Or
wonder why that
face
is.
up.
I wonder why that is. You put the Waning Moon on the stack, make Tyler have to think about that. This is going to be 2 damage before the Aether Spindle for 4. But one of these Spectral Shields could shore up the Aether Spindle as well. 2 cards into it, and then the question is, do you have enough protection on your next turn if you are Enigma here to protect whatever Spectral Shield you hope to attack with?
In the tank is Tyler. His shoulder looks amazing.
His shoulder, fantastic. Broad.
Looks like we've got 3 blues, one of which is already a transformed chi. The
I think
other...
it's 4 blues, unless that's a red
That's
moon
a
chakra.
red moon chakra,
gotcha.
my man. The vibes are red in this case.
In this case, vibes are red. See Majin, you can just continuing to count the cards, see where he is in the pitch stack. Ward can change the math on a pitch stack turn. The question is, Kano, with given enough time to set up, can do basically anything, deal almost infinite damage.
We saw Majin double check where he was in his stack during the judge call. He just checked it again.
Yeah, you have to imagine if you let your mind wander too much, it might be hard to get back into the Mind Palace.
Does Majin Bay use the Mind Palace?
He said he does, yes. He said he does. As such, utilize it to remember the pitch stack.
For those of you that don't know, the Mind Palace is a memorization strategy, essentially, where you associate the cards in your pitch stack or anything you're trying to remember with images that you can easily recall, things in your house, objects that you know super well. And that supposedly makes it very easy to remember long strings of information. For example, like digits of pi, or in this case, the cards in a 60-card deck.
I think players here chatting with the judges, perhaps.
It's interesting. I don't think they
Is that what we do?
made a judge call, either of the players. I wonder if there was a request for stoppage of play from our head judge.
It might be something about the blazing turn with the Metacarpus.
I mean, I really wouldn't have. Well, I really wouldn't have blown my Metacarpus nodes to deal 0 damage.
For the
really bad.
This is on the Metacarpus and the... Got you. Alrighty. Getting a word from our production team. We're going to come back to the booth for a moment. They're going to go ahead and resolve. We did see some people talking in the chat about the Blazing Aether and the Metacarpus node interaction. Are you able to buff an event that only deals 0 damage? I think the judges are talking about it, so they're going to go ahead and resolve that issue. It's not something that I am... I've never tried to Metacarpus a Blazing for 0 in my time playing Flesh and Blood, so I never had that judge call myself.
Have you ever resolved a Blazing Aether, Sam?
Yeah.
You have?
I've resolved Blazing
You
Aether.
playing some Kano?
I played a little bit of Kano.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I was online, but I did do it. I watched Hayden Dale's fantastic Ultimate Guide to Kano a while back. I built the deck and never brought it to locals because I was too afraid, but I did. I played a little bit of Kano.
That's brave in my mind.
I decided if I wanted to, continue to do the casting and the learning and the playing, like I should understand how the Kano deck works and I should understand how to play it. So
well, you've inspired me, Sam. I think I'm going to take a page from your book and
wow.
maybe ask Alexander Vore on the team to give me a Kano camp.
He'll just tell you, it's easy, bro. It's easy. You just play your cards, you blow them up, bro. It's easy.
Listen, Bryce, just draw the blues, banish the reds. You're up bigly.
You're up bigly. Well, let's go ahead and get back into our game. Looks like they're going to go ahead and just give Majin an intellect penalty, given that an intellect penalty 2, given that that was a game rules violation. So that is going to be the penalty here for Majin. That's going to definitely have some kind of effect on the game. We're going to go ahead and give this Command & Conquer go again with the path well traveled, transcend again. It looks like while the camera was away, all those spectral shields were cleared, but another spectral shield with a +1 counter is now going to be created and attacked with thanks to the reality refractor.
And that is double go again from first tenant of Chi Wind in addition to the path well traveled. Not that that matters at all, Sam, but hey, it's worth mentioning.
See the brand new intellect penalty tokens that were created here by some of the judge staff, I believe. Scour just going to go ahead and come across and take care of the spectral shield if tainted by Tyler's play here. And looks like it will go ahead and clear that spectral shield, deal 1 point of arcane damage.
Looks like Tyler not fretting about that 1 arcane damage at all. Concerned much more with the board that he has lost. However, Sam, I see another Spectral Manifestations in hand.
Another Spectral Manifestations, and I believe...
Oh, it is. It's the kitty card, Sam.
Yeah, the kitty card indeed, and I think that might be the end of the IP for Majin Bey. He just drew back up to 4, so it looks like it was just maybe an IP2 for the 1 turn, which did allow Tyler to get some damage in with the Reality Refractor because the CNC had to be blocked. Now here's an E-Strike with Go again, most likely, putting a card to the bottom of the deck.
Some really high-level play from Majin Bey. Unfortunately, it was a high-level misplay.
Indeed. A very obscure ruling interaction, have to imagine.
Mm-hmm. Props to him for, I always say, Sam, I think the best players in this game are curious people, right? Constantly asking themselves, even with cards that they have known for so long, can I get away with this? Is there a way to push the bounds of what I thought this deck would do?
Because I would say it's unintuitive to know. It's not intuitive to understand that that's how that interaction works. If the Metacarpus buffs an attack that deals buffs a card that deals arcane damage, Blazing Aether deals X arcane damage, where X is the arcane damage you've dealt. It's obscure to realize. So from what I understand, the ruling seems to be if you haven't dealt arcane damage, Blazing Aether does not produce the event like I'm dealing arcane damage right now because there was no arcane damage to deal, so Metacarpus node can't work on it. That's obscure, and that's I wouldn't say the most intuitive ruling in the world. So
exactly.
it would feel like something you could utilize Metacarpus node on, but was not the case in this event. So Spectral Shield now going to come in for 6 with the +1 counter.
Reality Refractor putting in work, making all of these Spectral Shields hit more like trucks than, I don't know, Priuses.
4 life is Majin here, but only 1 ward and no floating for Tyler. Find all Spring Tunic on the 1. Maybe time to push the Kano button. We'll see if Majin's able to do it here.
Where is Majin's staff?
Probably just accidentally in the graveyard. I have to
Yeah.
imagine that's not part of the violation penalty. And also, no Waning Moon.
Here's an IP penalty.
Yeah.
I break your staff in half.
Exactly.
There's got to be a Harry Potter reference in there somewhere, Sam. So surely Majin just needs to find 2 sources of arcane damage, 1 or greater. Tyler's going to be able to block 1 source of 1 with his Tunic, if he so chooses. If Majin is able to find 1 other on the top, or really just get his staff back out of graveyard and use that, this Specky is not long for this world. In the think tank, nevertheless,
37 minutes and 52 seconds elapsed so far in this untimed top 8 game. Our quarterfinal feature match for you here at the Battle Hardened in San Diego, 6:31 p.m. local time here in sunny San Diego. For life, Majin Bay, Tyler Horspool, 25. 1 tunic counter on 3, no cards in hand, no floating. Majin Bay has to be thinking, is this the time for me to try to go off and just win this game?
I did not know. That's
Yeah, I don't think you're doing anything, Paris, man.
Players commiserating about the ruling again. No ill will whatsoever. It's just this is one of those things that you just kind of learn as you play the game. That's one of the things that makes Flesh and Blood so rich is that there's so many interactions and things that have been on the board in the game state since Arcane Rising. Or well, Tyler being the good gentleman that he is, the unvillainous personality and fetching.
He's like, dude, you're gonna want
stuff.
this. He's like, dude, you're gonna need this, bro.
Good sportsmanship all around and high level play here at Battle Hardened San Diego.
Majin Bay really having a think here. You have to imagine it's partially due to Tyler just being a little face up on the turn, unless it's something like a tunic into Oasis counter. This is just going to be a block for 1 and a block for 3, so it looks like 2 damage coming across and the Wounded Bull, so he is just going to go ahead and block this attack out entirely.
The thought process must have been, can I get away with resolving this last Wounded Bull, taking a couple points of damage? The answer, as far as Majin Bay is concerned, is no.
And now only 1 card in the hand. Let's see what he wants to do with it. Pass priority, is that what he says? Tyler Horspool looking like he is making a motion. Ooh, and there are a couple of those Spectre pieces. Shimmers a silver.
But no instant speed shenanigans, save for probably the Restless Coalescence that must be in Arsenal.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Tyler thinking that one counter is not enough to get him to fire it off. And Majin moving ever closer to that pitch stack.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew up the 3 cards. Here we go. This is cresting towards the final turns of this game for Tyler here. That's a hand that has some powerful cards, but not a lot of good ways to utilize multiple action points here.
And not a lot of good ways to dodge the multiplicative damage that Kano can be putting out.
Now here's a CNC coming out of the hand. Also, a lot of blues in the hand for Tyler to try to keep himself alive. This is something that Majin has to either give 2 cards to, similarly to that Spectral Shield, but if he wants to just like give 1 card, right, try to stay alive at 1 and do something crazy, the Command and Conquer here has similar damage to the Spectral Shield, but allows Tyler to say, if you try to take any damage, I'm taking that arsenal from you.
There's a card hovering over the pitch for Majin Bay. Could this be the moment that he decides to go for blood? We know he's hit his pitch stack because that's the eye that he pitched on turn 0.
That's the first turn. So we are now at Majin's pit stack. He is going to go ahead and just double check, make sure those 2 cards are where he wants them. Does Tyler have enough prevention to stay alive from 25 life? Only 1 ward on the board. Command and Conquer on the stack. Is this the turn that Majin Bay punches his ticket into the semifinals of this Battle Hardened?
There are significant defenses on Tyler Horspool's side. We've got AB3, but a perfectly pitch stack Kano can punch right through that, Sam. We know he's got a Tome of Aetherwind in the mix, and I know we've seen some power cards in the pitch as well.
I'll leave them, and then I'll let the banish happen. Sure.
Leave them on top. Banish the Blazing. Blazing in the banish zone, ready to be played. Activate Kano again. What's the card on top? There's the Wildfire from that very first turn. What else you got, Majin? Put a card into the pitch zone. Banish. It's the Tome of Findall. That's going to draw you 2 more cards. And, of course, do have the Potion of Deja Vu to get any cards in the pitch zone back on top of the deck. Tyler Horspool, 2 cards in hand. Tunic on 3, but only AB3 and Ward 1.
So amazing to see a pitch stack Kano in action, Sam.
Just going to go ahead and put that back on the table because we might be putting those cards back on top of the deck. Majin Bay here, card in arsenal, card in the hand.
The Mind Palace is humming. It's crackling.
He's currently in the foyer, making his way through the hallway.
He's moving up the grand staircase, Sam.
He is. I can see it. I'm in there with him. He's like, yo, get out, dude. I'm doing something.
I've got work
How did you
to
get
do.
In here?
Sam's like, I don't know.
I'm like, dude, you got any snacks? It's like, I have no snacks, man.
What do you think the fridge is like in the Mind Palace, Sam?
In Majin Bay's Mind Palace, I think there's a bunch of Tylenol and ibuprofen. I've heard he gets headaches. Pretty gets headaches. I feel him. I feel him there.
Yeah, and Pedialyte for sure.
All right, Majin Bay continuing to having a think. Got 3 non-attack actions in the banished zone ready to be deployed. Tome of Findall, Aether Wildfire, Blazing Aether. A lot of cards with Tyler Horspool's name on it. You can see Chris Iali in the background of the shot of Tyler. You can see, very far in the back of Majin's shot, you can see Brodie Spurlock looking like a bit of a specter from days gone past, but he is back there.
Chris Iali departing the shot, saying he can't watch. He's too stressed. It's too tense a moment.
Potion of Deja Vu here. Let's go get some more blues back on top of the deck. Want to draw those blues most likely with the
shoulder is
Tome of
down.
Findall.
I'm going to see if I can take a look, Sam.
Just 2 blues and the whatever it is. The
Eye of Ophidia.
Yeah, I think one of them might be the Gaze the Ages.
Yes, it is.
So that will help.
Surely
as well
he
on
wants
this
to
turn.
banish that one. And confirm what he probably already knows in terms of his pitch stack.
So most likely going to be the Eye and the other blue on top.
Looks like Eye is 3rd from the top.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Oh, because we're going to Ragamuffin's Hat first. That will let us draw 1 card, put another card back on top of the deck. That will allow us to draw the Eye of Ophidia with the Tome of Findall. We're going to go ahead and put the Aether Flare.
Which was just placed on top of the deck with Ragamuffins.
Mm-hmm.
Here come the energy potions.
Energy Potion's going to allow.
Just going to crack them both.
First Kano is the Gaze the Ages. There we are. And now it's time for the final floating to go ahead and play the Tome, grab the Eye of Ophidia, and grab another card in the pitch stack.
And now
it's time to think.
and now we are blind. But at any point, if Majin Bay says, I don't quite remember how this Mind Palace was built, he's got the Gaze the Ages at the ready to double check.
Yeah, absolutely. Double check, get another blue in the hand. Also for Majin, if, let's say, disaster strikes and he is unable to find the kill on this turn, as long as he has 1 card left in the hand, he's not just dead to the CNC. He can put a card in front of it, lose the arsenal, but the Storm Striders might be playing that card in the arsenal at some point anyway.
We currently don't have any other ways to draw cards in Majin's Banish Zone. However, we know that there is a Tome of Aetherwind in this pitch stack, and it's not far from here.
No, not at all. Maybe even the next card drawn after the Tome of Findall. Let's
see if he will show us his shoulder again. Yep, the shoulder is still there, Sam.
Yep, still there. So kind of him to continue to show us.
What a left shoulder it is.
Kano, but first we're going to opt to, thanks to the Eye of Ophidia once again.
Why not double check the Mind Palace? Mind Palace is great, but let's make sure the supports are set up right, Sam. Let's make sure that the Mind Engineers did their work properly. Got permits.
Let's see, we're going 1 on top, 1 on bottom here for Majin, so making a couple changes. There's the Tome to the Kano activation.
Adding more and more resources onto this turn.
And you look at this, you say, what if there was a Tunic on 3 to pay for that Tome of Findall? But he did want to be exactly at 4 on that last turn. Didn't want to even just take the 1 point of damage because now, again, maybe it's just if he was able to block with 3 block, he would still be alive on the turn.
We have to ask ourselves here.
We got to this point.
You know what?
Going to go ahead and draw 2 cards with the Tome of Findall.
Feeling pretty confident that these 2 cards are blues. How'd we do, Majin? I think I see an Aether Dart, which must be in the blue.
Yep. Aether Dart for sure. I think in a Gaze.
Oh, Gaze the Ages. That's A-okay.
Have a Gaze in the Banish Zone as well. That opts and basically draws a card, puts a blue into the hand. Tyler Horspool just sitting back.
Sorry, you have to sit here and deal with this.
It's okay. I'll bring a coloring book next time, though.
You're right.
Tyler's saying he's going to bring a coloring book, further adding to the legend of his villainy.
Yes.
Only the most dastardly of individuals have coloring books at a
Indeed
Flesh and Blood
so.
matchup.
I believe the villain in Zorro is famous for making doodles.
While we're here, might as well take the opportunity to say thank you to our wonderful sponsors over at fabrec.gg. If you're curious how to build a Kano deck or any Wizard deck or any Enigma deck once Rosetta drops, you're going to want to check out the deck list and deck building resources over at fabrec.gg. The best minds in Flesh and Blood, the best analytics in Flesh and Blood. Go ahead and check out their website for those resources. There's a Tome of Aetherwind. We are fully in the pitch stack. This is looking like it might start to get pretty ugly for Tyler here. Tome of Aetherwind going to draw 2 more cards. Respond with the Gaze the Ages. Let's go ahead and double check. 2 cards on top, and that Gaze is headed back to the hand here. And then 2
fuel the
cards are
rest
getting
of
drawn.
this disgusting pitch stack, Sam.
Yep.
So far, we only are seeing 5 cards in the pitch zone of Majin, but you can go ahead and tack on 3 more for the ones that came back to the top
Yeah,
from that,
absolutely.
that Potion of Deja Vu. So we are currently at 8 cards pitched for Majin Bay on this turn. Gonna add 2 more to the hand. We've got another Tome of Aetherwind.
2 cards.
This is a lot of fancy footwork, Sam, but ultimately the only thing that Majin is doing is just adding more and more resources to his pool, right? It's just get me more blues to fuel all of the stuff that I've already banished.
Yep. And a Tome of Aetherwind in the Banish Zone as well will continue to help those prospects. Seen a bunch of tomes already resolved.
We are out of ways to opt. So Majin is 100% dependent on this Mind Palace that he has built and whether or not he remembers how it was built.
I didn't know where we were at. I was like,
What do you think Tyler would be drawing right now if he did have a coloring book?
Probably just an evil plan to rob the bank and you know, stick up old ladies at the supermarket.
I think he would be drawing himself riding a pony, standing in a puddle.
Standing in a puddle.
It'd be a very oblong, kind of Picasso-in, maybe like 5-year-old rendition of a pony.
Oh, so you doubt his artistic ability?
No, certainly not. I just think that's the way he would choose to do it.
I see. Majin reordering the Banish Zone here, figuring out what he's going to play first.
Oh, right, as I said, we're out of ops. There is an Aether Spindle sitting at the ready.
Indeed.
In the Banish Zone. Majin ostensibly going to be able to look at more cards on the top of his deck. Now, things aren't over for Tyler Horspool here. He's still got 2 blues that Majin Bay has to punch through. Still 1 floating. AB3 is nothing to shake your hat at. It is, however, going to stop a little bit of this really intense multiplicative damage on Aether Wildfire.
Tunic, activating in response to the Aether Wildfire. Make sure Majin doesn't want to do any response to the Tunic activation. Back into the tank goes Majin as we have to decide if we are the Kano player. Exactly when we...
Looks like resolution is good.
2 resources now in the pitch zone. Does Tyler have any Oasis Respite type of effects?
Unfortunately not. We know that it's just another Shimmers of Silver and then another non-Moon Chakra, basically, in his hand.
So that Aether Wildfire, though, completely stuffed up. AB3 plus Ward 1, so now Majin has to go find the second one that is pretty close in this pitch stack. Here's the Aether Flare now. That's probably going to buff up the Aether Spindle or the Aether Wildfire coming up later. Here's another 3 Arcane damage that Tyler has to think about.
So that Aether Spindle is going to cost 2. We've still got the Tome of Aetherwind to fuel more resources on this turn, but Majin's got to be thinking, what if my Mind Palace is incorrect and I draw some reds? So 2 is going to get him his Aether Spindle and his Blazing Aether for free. He needs 1 card that's going to be devoted to Stormstriders and probably whatever else he fires off with the Stormstriders. I would imagine there's an Aether Wildfire in the arsenal sitting at the ready. Either that or another Blazing Aether.
Yeah, it has to be something like that. Now, this is pretty face up from Tyler here. Stormstrider is going to be the activation. Put a blue card into the pitch. There is the second Aether Wildfire. This one is going to be only able to be AB2'd by Tyler with only 2 floating. And then the question is, what are the plays for there from Majin?
We have a Restless Coalescence sitting... Oh, I'm sorry. It was the Moon Chakra.
Moon Chakra is going to prevent so much damage here. What an incredible play from Tyler. Not the Oasis Respite, but that's going to prevent 3 of the damage. All Majin can do is put the head back. However, Moon Chakra does say the next time you would be dealt damage. So Waning Moon could come in and deal 3 damage to take care of the Moon Chakra here. But a big play from Tyler.
Absolutely. I thought for sure that was the Restless Coalescence.
Moon Chakra here, so important. But the Waning Moon might have something to say about it. But then if you use the Waning Moon, you're going to have to find more resources. Tome of Aetherwind might be the response here to find some more cards for Majin.
And it's not all over for Majin. Majin could go ahead and deploy the Tome of Aetherwind, get some blocking cards in his hand.
Certainly not. I mean, and
It's, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's plenty of ways to get around this. I think you're absolutely right.
Although one of them is a no block.
For this.
Yeah, I think Majin is, he's going to go ahead and throw the Waning Moon in for the 3 damage prevention.
Goodbye Moon Chakra. Tyler, however, still has 2 resources at the ready to defend this Aether Wildfire.
So that will take care of the 3 from the Waning Moon. Now 2 into the Aether Wildfire, so 2 damage coming across. Tyler down to 23, and that might be enough, folks. Because now all is set up for Majin to absolutely go crazy. Here is the Aether Spindle. This one with the base power 4 is going to be coming in for 6. And with another card in hand for Majin and 1 floating, most cards off the top of the deck would also come in for more damage. 6 damage coming across.
He's going to get his pick of the litter.
He's going to be able to grab any card he wants here.
Let's see if he'll show us.
Here's your cards. You mooned, and then you did this.
We getting some clarification from the judge?
You spent it on this, though.
Yeah, so I went Stormstriders, Wildfire. Do we have like a check back or something?
Yeah.
Can we check the?
No, they're looking to check. I'm pretty...
Very important.
Yeah.
I think Tyler's...
They're checking pitch, but
I did my resources right on the
Yeah.
spindle.
Yeah, they're asking about the resource utilization on the turn. I do remember Majin pitching a card and
The Wildfire and the spindle.
a big blue when he played the Wildfire. I'm not sure how the judge ruling works because they're going to see if they're going to go do the playback. I'm not, or I don't know if judges can even do that, right, on a stream game.
Exactly, yeah. It's not like the NFL, folks. There's not like judge protocol for reeling back time and taking a look at our stream or anything like that. Majin having to just take a step away from the table real quick. Got to clear his head.
Yeah.
But keep the Mind Palace built.
In my head, I remember from this turn, in my head, I remember Majin pitching the card, and I was like, okay, that's paying, and then he has the 2 floating. So
As do I.
I think he had 1 floating after he did the Stormstriders, so then...
I think I know what it is, Sam. The reason being is he popped 2 E-Pots at one point for a Kano activation. I think that's where that 1 floating has been sitting this entire time because 1 blue is going to evenly pay for the Stormstriders plus the Wildfire.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had any other kind of imperfect blue.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's all correct.
And it was this card that you did. The Scalding Ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 here.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like we're all cleared up. Majin proceeding. He's going to deal 6, get his pick of the litter of whatever he wants to send after this.
Yeah, with a blue in the hand here, we're going to be able to pretty much
Could
grab
be a
any
lesson.
card. I think the writing is on the wall, though. Any arcane damage will be huge. The Blazing Aether that comes in for free. Banish the Lesson in Lava off the top. This Lesson in Lava is going to be for probably, 5? Yep, 5 damage as well. And then 5 plus 6 plus 2 plus the Blazing. That should be enough. Majin Bay, I think, is going to go ahead and take care of this game over Tyler Horspool.
Yeah, that's the point. And so this is coming in.
This is 13, 15.
15 plus 5, that's enough.
That's going to be it.
That's going to be the game.
Either
Majin
listen
Bay
to
with the
Bravo
pitch
or-
stack
yeah,
takes it
My
over
scour was
Tyler
too far down
Horspool
for it to
through the intellect penalty. Not necessary to go ahead and make it challenging for Majin Bay. He moves on into the semifinals.
Congratulations to Majin. That was quite a game, Sam.
Yeah.
That was a lot of heady play. It was really back and forth until Majin knew I've made it back to my pitch stack.
Yep.
And what a great marker to have the Eye of Ophidia pitched turn 0. There's no question about when you've reached your pitch stack in that case.
Yeah, no, he set that all up rather nicely, even on that very first turn, right? Set up the pitch stack, and that was what he needed to go ahead and close that game out. Through some pretty nasty turns there from Tyler. He was able to throw some big attacks, but Majin, the head of the Wizard Council, sits unchallenged, right? That dude is known for his Kano play, and he put it on display for us all here in the booth and at home, and he moves on to the semifinal of the Battle Hardened.
Not only did he set up the perfect pitch stack and fight through a lot of damage coming his way and a lot of ward board that he had to clear along the way, but he also left himself with enough leeway to handle that sneaky moon chakra that Tyler was able to slip into the arsenal.
Yeah. What a game. Thank you for hanging with us. We're going to go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break before we move on into the semifinals. We find out exactly who is going to be duking it out in those final 4 slots before the all-important champions round of the Battle Hardened here in San Diego. So much is on the line. Please stay with us, and we'll see you in a moment.
Just waiting for the final go-ahead from our judges.
And we're back. Sorry for the little disruption.
Both players are ready for this, the semifinals of Battle Hardened San Diego. Again, we've got 2K in total prize pool on the line. We've got a PTI. We've got a gold cold foil. And
Glory.
And
on the
glory.
line. That's
I
right.
couldn't have said it better myself. Let's take a look at the equipment suite. Not a whole lot. That's a surprise on Nicholas Tagg's side. The flex spot in the Prism, of course, being the chess piece, Empyrean Rapture. And then, of course, Brodie Spurlock. All the usual suspects, save for one, Michael.
Yeah, what's going on down there in the foot slot? Time skippers.
Time of a time past, but still relevant here in the Prism meta. Why, you might ask?
Well, Time Skippers is a very important card because for 3 resources, you can gain an action point.
Hang on, do my eyes deceive me, or are we playing a blue Sift
Sift
right
as
now
well.
on Brodie's side?
Huh. Brodie's bringing the spice.
No doubt. That's a fascinating pickup. I guess it's an easy transcend enabler.
Possibly.
Fascinating play. So let's continue talking about the time skippers real quick, Michael,
Right.
while the players make their decisions. It's one of the easiest onboard ways to get around that pesky card, ALS.
Yeah, Arclight Sentinel. Basically, whenever an Arclight Sentinel is on the board, for those of you who don't know, it says it must be targeted by the next attack. And when you target an aura with Spectra, it destroys the attack. Therefore, Go Again does not resolve. So unless you have 2 action points, your turn's over. You get time walked. So time skippers is a great way to get around a time walk. You skip right over it.
Why walk when you can skip, right,
Yep.
Michael?
Absolutely. And for the low price of 3 resources, a blue deck like Zen doesn't even think twice. Get rid of a
50%
card.
off.
Yeah, exactly.
Here comes the first attack from our Prism player, Nicholas Tagg, and it is a good one. It's Wartune Herald in the red, coming in with Go Again due to Luminaris' static effect. We have a yellow in pitch, so this Herald is going to get Go Again.
Yep, coming in for 7, Wartune Herald.
Critical break point for Brodie Spurlock very early in this match. Got to decide if he wants to play this game a little bit slower and deny more and more value from Nicholas, who really wants one of these Heralds to connect so that he can fetch one of those Figments.
Yeah, those Figments are such high value when you're connecting with a 1 for 7 that also gives you a ward 4.
Yeah, 1 for 7, a great rate. Of course, with the drawback of Phantasm. However, I think most of these Zen decks are not packing a whole lot of 6-power cards.
Yeah, they might be on CNC and maybe weakest link. I don't know if that Zen's running a lot more than that. And there is the weakest link.
Just as the words left your mouth,
Yeah.
Michael.
I have a bit of a premonition.
And this is one of the better heralds to be facing early because you can pop it. There are more than likely a rainbow set of Heralds of Triumph, which are not going to be popped that easily. Nicholas just says, all right, I'm not going to pay to get my action point back, or I will, but then I'll just pass the turn with it.
Yep, so a little bit of an IP penalty. Not literally a penalty, but choosing to keep a card is functionally similar. So not using his whole hand to its utmost efficiency.
Taking a look at the hand of Brodie Spurlock. Got Aspect of Tiger Body, but he's just going to kick it off with a Zephyr Needle.
Yeah, and bringing the Zephyr Needles into a deck that has a lot of 3 blocks is always a somewhat dangerous play, as we do expect these to get exploded quite early on.
Ooh, and what a way to explode it. It's that all you got. So not only is Chris going to take, Nicholas Tagg going to take a very vital piece of equipment from Brodie Spurlock, but he's also going to draw a card once the combat chain closes.
This is fantastic. I mean, the whole point of the Zephyr Needles is you're ripping cards out of their hand. Sure, the needle dies, but you get this tempo that you wouldn't otherwise get. But here we just see, yeah, I'll take that for free and draw a card.
And the follow-up isn't even that great for Brodie. He's just got to send a 0 for 3 without combo active.
Yeah.
Nicholas says, yeah, I'll pay that.
Looking like he took 2 there. Not sure.
Yeah, it should have been an additional 3. Maybe the life totals are correct on the pads, but not on our scoreboard. See if we can get that cleared up. But here comes that rainbow set of Herald of Triumph. This one is going to be way harder to pop, Michael, because it's going to give any defending card -1 power.
Yeah, so I don't think Brodie, well, I shouldn't say this, I don't know his deck list, but it's unlikely he's bringing any 7-power attacks. It's also got some other spice. I would have said it was unlikely that he was bringing a blue sift, but we saw that.
Definitely would have said that
so
was
I'll hold my
too.
tongue until I see it. But here we do have that Herald coming in. That is a 6-power Herald with Go Again.
Yeah, and Brodie very used to the spicy poppers. His first iteration of the Azalea deck, kind of post Prism's rise to fame, was packing those red. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name now.
It would have been Battlefront or the Findell's Fighting Spirit.
No, it was before those. So it was just the Raging Onslaught, if I'm not mistaken. Just the Welcome
just
to Wraith,
good
2 for 7,
yeah, okay.
or 3 for 7, yeah. Looks like this is the first Herald that's going to connect. Nicholas going to fetch his first Figment of the game. Herald of Triumph straight to Soul. I do believe we're going to see the Figment of Variedition. Because why wait? Get the powerful one out right away, right?
Yeah, I think the only reason he might not choose that is if he doesn't plan to use the Arsenal.
Figment of War is the choice here.
And he goes pedal to the metal. Goes for the most offensive-leaning Figment.
And pretty good because Empyrean Rapture is going to allow him to flip it immediately and swing Bologna.
Yeah, that's a pretty good attack. First of all, it comes in and deals an arcane damage. Is that right? No, it makes a courage?
No, so the Figment is going to make the courage.
Right.
Every time we swing the Angel.
2 arcane.
No. That would be Ravages.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're all right.
Courage and then +1 on the other angels that happen to be on the board.
Exactly.
That's right. Okay.
Now, Nicholas does not have anything left in Soul, so the likelihood of him being able to get value on that effect is maybe a little low on this turn. However, there are some tricks in his, not in his arsenal, but on his equipment suite. I have to be careful with flesh and blood terminology. He's got the Halo of Illumination, which it might be a little bit early to pop that, but that would allow him to put 1 more card into Soul.
Yeah, I imagine that Halo is going to be a critical piece at some point in this game to enact his win condition game plan. So not using it here makes a lot of sense just for 1 value. But you do see the Angel being swung here for 4 Go Again.
Because why not? You got 2 sources of Go Again from Luminaris, Angel's Glow. You got 1 on a Herald. As long as you got a yellow on the pitch deck, you got 1 on an Angel. So what
Use
the
it
heck?
all.
let's just go 3 attacks wide,
Uh-huh.
shall we?
And this is one of the things that Prism does so well is actually be really aggressive.
Here we go. 4 go again. Looks like Brodie's reaching for the pad.
And he's just taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Let's follow it up with another Herald, and this is another good one.
Yeah,
Although
protection.
it is viable for popping.
It is. But if it's not popped, that extra ward could be the difference between keeping that angel alive.
Yeah, extra ward because, of course, once it connects, we will create a Spectral Shield token as that Herald goes into Prism's soul. Also, gonna get another Figment because that's not a once per turn ability.
Yeah.
Static remains for the entirety of the turn.
Brodie would really like to pop this if he can.
Let's see if we've got any poppers to devote.
100 wins, bonds.
Looks like no. No poppers in the hand of Brodie Spurlock.
So,
Is a fearsome turn, though.
absolutely.
Ah, but bonds donated to the combat chain.
Brodie
And the
deciding
Herald is
he
still gonna
can't
hit.
utilize it well, would rather have it in the graveyard for future tutoring. And yeah, he takes the 4, gets another Figment on the board. Nicholas Tagg. See what he finds this time. And critically, he also gains a little bit more soul to use.
Now we find that Figment of Erudition, which is going to spawn a Ponder token on his side of the board, allow him to refresh that arsenal.
I really like the order he did this in. He wasn't entirely sure that he would use the 5-card hand, but now that he's played the final card of his hand, I'll take an arsenal. Why not?
And also he's probably thinking, I want to get value off my chess piece, which means I'm definitely transforming an angel this turn, but I don't want it to be my Angel of Erudition. That's too valuable because Brodie is likely going to come back with a hand that is going to blow up this angel no matter what Nicholas can do.
Yeah, and when the Herald of Protection, was that a Herald of Protection that just hit?
It was, yes.
Okay, I'm not seeing
We may have missed our
Spectral
Spectral Shield trigger.
I'm hoping that Nicholas remembered that for his sake, but we have a That All You Got coming down. So very clean block here.
Those 1 power attacks are really pesky when you've got an angel on board and you want to protect that as an asset.
Yep, and Brodie going ahead and transcending, waiting until after the damage step to use the drop in the ocean. Actually, may not have mattered in this case. It
Not
was
in this
already full
case.
blocked.
But hey, a diligent player always, no matter the stakes, is always going to do things in the correct order.
Yeah. And if Nicholas did, in fact, forget to put that Spectral Shield, that could be a critical error. You know, after a long day of Flesh and Blood, it's so easy to forget these simple little things.
Curious, Michael. We see a fetch of the Descendant Gust Wave.
Were there 2 bonds, perhaps, in his hand?
I don't believe in his hand, but I'm looking at that card in his arsenal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tell of all tells. When you see that Descendant vanish, there's no reason to go get that without a bonds.
So here we go. Follow-up is Crouching Tiger, which is going to get buffed by the Tiger Stripe Shuko because we've had an attack with power 2 or less base.
And this is the moment where you really wish you had a Spectral Shield.
Yeah, right you are. If that is a missed trigger, that is going to pay dividends for Brodie.
Oh, you know what? I'm completely wrong about that because the Spectral Shield would have been eaten up by the Tiger Stripe Shuko anyway.
Ah, yes, because can't be prevented.
Yep.
So this is a really curious interaction that we've seen several times today, actually. So if this Tiger is allowed to connect, not only will it destroy the Angel, but it will also still connect with Nicholas's life total because Shuko also says damage cannot be prevented on the chain link that it's active.
Yep. This is such a good card into these illusionists. And we see Nicholas deciding to commit the Phantasmal Footsteps on block.
Which it is important to point out, like, if we had remembered the Spectral Shield, we still would have been able to donate that to the 100 wins
Yes,
and
of course.
then go
Yeah.
That all you got on the Tiger.
Yeah, it would have
So it's
been
still a
really nice
misplay.
to have, of course. And you know, I think these minor mistakes can be meaningful in these games, and it's usually those minor mistakes that sort of spell the difference between a victory and a defeat when you're sitting at the top tables in an event.
But also, it's important to mention, it's been a very long day for these players.
Absolutely.
It's been a long day for us, but we haven't been playing Flesh and Blood at the highest level all day.
I'm sure their brains are cooked.
Mm-hmm. So a mistrigger is just something that can happen.
And there goes the Angel.
Luckily, Nicholas getting the full ward block value on his Angel.
Or almost all of it.
Oh, I'm sorry, almost all of it. Let's see what will be the target for Bonds of Ancestry. There's not a whole lot of options in Brodie Spurlock's deck yet. Or I mean in his graveyard yet. Finding the aspect of Tiger Body. Not the most opportune time to deploy this card. Usually you want to see it on the back of a Chase the Tail, ensuring that you get both of your Tigers. This Tiger in the follow-up will only be worth 0. But hey, you just want to keep pushing damage.
Yeah, and the life totals right now are fairly even. We've only seen Nicholas commit 1 card to the defense this turn, as he will be drawing up again from the That All You Got. He's got 3 cards in an arsenal, so he's in a pretty good spot. 22 to 26, 1 card in Soul.
And he's packing a Parable of Humility, which is basically just an on-board, this round's on me. Something that could be really, really beneficial in these Zen matchups.
And he goes ahead and he thinks about establishing it before his turn starts. Would be a more efficient use of his resources. And decides against it.
What?
Just letting go of the 2 floating. Chooses instead to pitch the card to play his second Herald of Protection.
This could be a bit punishing if Brodie has been able to find another popper. I do believe a CSE is in his hand.
Yeah. So this one will not connect. Nicholas will not have the opportunity to remember to get his Spectral Shield this time.
Will have the opportunity to buy his action point back, however. Unfortunately, Empyrean Rapture not online yet because the Herald has not connected. So we're not going to be able to flip that Figment of Erudition for free and gain more card advantage.
Yeah, the moment that Nicholas decides to flip that is going to be critical. He may want to wait until he has a little bit more soul, or he may want to just rip it and start going as soon as possible so that he can have the tempo and put Brodie on the back foot.
Brodie Spurlock in the think tank in this semifinals of Battle Hardened San Diego. Brodie is working his way to being the Battle Hardened king of Flesh and Blood. Can he do it again here in San Diego?
And we already know a Kano will be waiting for one of these 2 players in the finals, as a Kano mirror is happening right now.
Not just any Kano mirror, Michael. A rematch of the streamed Kano mirror we had earlier on today. Eugene Galipchek and Majin Bay going head-to-head once again.
A chance for redemption.
Indeed. Although those Wounded Bulls are a hard thing to overcome. CNC devoted to the block. Looks like this Herald is not long for this world, as you said, Michael.
And Nicholas really wishing he had that Parable at the moment.
We're going to pay to get our action point back. What can we do with it? Hey, another Herald. Herald of Triumph.
Now this one won't be poppable.
And Brodie says, that's A-okay with me. I already popped that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parable of Humility, just an amazing card in Prism. Not only because it kind of prevents popping, but also it's just infinite value if your opponent doesn't remove it, because -1 to every attack.
Yeah, it can be so strong on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And of course with Spectra, it's really annoying to remove. Not so bad if you can end the chain link with something a little bit less meaningful like a Zephyr Needle.
Exactly.
But it's still a wasted action.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps that was the thought process behind Nicholas Tagg pulling it back and instead going for the double Herald line.
Yeah, he may not have had the resources he needed to get the double Herald line off anyway, so he just opted to pitch it.
This is a Herald of Triumph 4/5. Brodie
Brodie's thinking
Spurlock
long and hard.
in the think tank.
Yeah, head's on his hand. What? Hand in his heads.
He
There
can
we go.
he can put his head on his hands.
Hands and head sharing the same physical volume of space.
He's got shoulders, knees, and toes as well, Michael.
I've heard about the shoulders. I noticed that was one of the highlights of the Tyler Horspool match.
Yes, indeed. Brodie, however, showing us his hand.
Yeah,
Unlike
no
Majin
shoulder
and Tyler.
on screen.
Mhm.
Not a good sign.
Looks like we have chosen a card to block with. And
Ooh.
also a Kasaya to boot. We do not want this Herald to connect. And Nicholas to get another Angel on board.
Yeah, Brodie really valuing preventing that Figment in this case.
5 is the block to meet 5 on the offense. No on hit, no Figment, no Angel. Nicholas Tagg passing back to Brodie Spurlock with 2 cards in hand.
It looked
and a
like he
dream.
had the Art of War, so he's setting up for a very, very explosive turn next turn. I expect to see no blocks besides armor, assuming he draws up anything half decent.
Brodie finally getting, not finally, he's getting another couple Transcend cards online. Looks like it's going to be Zephyr Needle on the combat chain.
And he would love to rip a card here. Nicholas Tagg would love another That All You Got. Only one left in deck, assuming he runs 3. And I
Looks
don't
like
see one in his hand, so
we've also found a no block. We found the Light of Soul,
this
the
is-
Light Gem Resource.
I don't know if Nicholas realizes how critical it is for him to put pressure on in the turn that's about to happen. He may be tempted to block here, but he's going to need to strip cards from Brodie if at all possible.
He's got one thing going for him, Michael, and that's that Brodie isn't sporting those shiny Strides of Reprisal. Instead, he's got the Time Skippers, so this
Very
Art of
good
War is
point.
going to be a little less intense than other Zen Art of Wars. That being said, Nicholas could also just go ahead and drop that sticky ALS and stop Brodie's turn anyway.
That would be really good. Even if he used Time Skippers, an entire card committed to getting around the ALS would be a lot worse than not doing that.
That's 2 blocks, excuse me, in Nicholas Tagg's hand. We've got a Figment and also the Light of Soul.
Ooh, and I think, was that a Soul Shield? Did I see that
I didn't
correctly?
see it. Oh, yes, you are right,
So
Michael.
that's
Ugh.
it's asking to be used on defense. Not really effective here.
No, this is actually not really the hand you want to
Yeah,
have.
he doesn't have a turn to return, so blocking seems correct. Even if he would like to strip cards from Brodie, he doesn't have the hand texture to do that.
We've talked about it before. Sometimes, if you can't send anything good enough, it's best to just kind of hope that Zen bricks. In this case, Brodie is going to be sporting an Art of War. Makes it a much riskier proposition. But hey, it's better than giving him a free chi, I suppose.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out is on the turn that Brodie decides to block with his headpiece and get that chi, he will also get a Tiger from his hero ability. So that Art of War will have a good banish target.
Indeed. Mauling Chi is the ask here. Got 5 physical damage coming through. Will ping for 1 more if it's allowed to connect. Nicholas Tagg in the think tank, essentially with 2 cards that don't block, but he's got his Soul Shield at the ready. Could be the perfect time to deploy it against this Mauling Chi. The issue is, what the heck do I arsenal after
Right,
that?
he doesn't want to arsenal the Figment. He doesn't want to arsenal the Light of Soul, and his only option to block is he's going to have to arsenal one of those or just pass. And yeah, Figments in the arsenal can be really dangerous.
We could perhaps just go ahead and throw the Phantasmal Footsteps in front of here. Pitch just to get the Figment out of our hands, then pitch the Light of Soul for Soul Shield. It's
That's
not
true.
great. It is a bit of an IP penalty, but you really don't want to have those Figments in your hand, do you, Michael?
No. And the Soul Shield going into Soul does not trigger Prism's hero ability, right? That must be a Herald that hits.
It's got to be a Herald.
Yeah, so that's not an out either. Halo?
Halo could be an option
It
here.
feels so bad to. It's one of his best pieces.
You really want a power card in your
So-
hand for this. You want a Tome of Divinity. You want an ALS, perhaps.
It makes sense that Nicholas is thinking so long, not necessarily because there's a right play, but because he might just feel so stuck. There's no out, and he's wishing there was. And look at that. He goes for the phantasmal footsteps play that you suggested. And it feels so bad, but I think this is correct. So biting the bullet.
Pitching the Light of
blocking.
Soul, checking the top of the deck. We do, in fact, find a yellow.
Yeah, so he does benefit from getting a little bit more soul, and he'll get to search for a figment. So, better than nothing.
And if and when he's finally able to turn on this Figment of Erudition, he's going to be able to do work with it. So there was a riskier option here, Michael. He could have just gone straight for the Light of Soul with Soul Shield.
Right.
And if he had found a yellow, he would have gotten his Figments online, all that jazz. Then he could have gone to his turn, I suppose, and oh no, because then Empyrean wouldn't be online. Never mind.
Yeah, I think he still wants to just go ahead and play this defense react out. No,
Ah.
he's
Okay.
valuing just holding on to it.
So that means, Michael, that we're going to transform that Figment of Erudition and then swing it with the other pitch card in our hand, banish from Soul, draw 2 cards, and see if we can make something a little more threatening out of these 2 cards.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking about either that or
Maybe Arsenal Soul Shield and pass?
I don't know.
Doesn't feel great.
I think he's so he has put a figment in his soul, right? So his chess piece has been activated.
So no, his chess piece is not active. So the activation of
from a
Prism
Herald?
won't be free.
Okay. So then he would
I'm
have
sorry.
to pitch both his cards in order to swing an angel.
Yes.
Right. So again,
That is what I'm saying.
yeah. And it looks like he is doing just that.
And we're also going to have to banish both of those cards from Soul. Ah, decides to go for the Spectral Shield Angel instead of Angel of Erudition.
What are the chances that he Arsenal passes here?
There's a chance, especially because he didn't flip Figment of Erudition. Perhaps he's just saying, I want Ward 4 on board for whatever it is you're going to come at me with.
Yeah.
And a Soul Shield in Arsenal to boot.
And that's what he does.
Good call, Michael. Spotting the line that Nicholas was eyeing.
Yeah, just playing conservatively. He's really walled up, and I think he knows that Brodie has set some stuff up. He can't know about the Art of War, but he certainly suspects that he's in for a classic Zen turn, and he creates the defensive tools that he'll need to survive this.
I am seeing oodles and oodles of 100 wins.
That's
Brodie
scary.
Spurlock's hand. I believe that is
Is that
300 wins.
Oh, no.
We also have a Levels of Enlightenment, though, so it'll kind of depend on how many of those 100 wins are blue and how many are red to figure out how Brodie is going to structure this turn. Luckily enough, Nicholas did not swing anything at Brodie.
Yep. Not giving
him the ability.
opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like the best players really understand when the right play is just Arsenal pass.
Brodie in the semifinals of Battle Hardened San Diego, seeing if he can piece together a nasty turn for Nicholas to answer. This would, if he goes for the multiple 100 wins line, this could be an opportunity for Nicholas to cash in on the Stonewall Gauntlet because, especially if we play that Art of War on top of it, and we have power greater than its base, then Stonewall Gauntlet's going to get...
He wouldn't know that until
the reaction step, basically.
So I would be very shocked if Nicholas put that Stonewall Gauntlet in front right now. But if he did, that would be a crazy heads-up play.
Well, and it would have to be on the next one because Brodie would wait for the reaction step.
Oh, he doesn't need it's his Angel's absorbing it anyway.
There's that.
So that sure would be a waste.
But so Stonewall Gauntlet activates on defense. So we would have to basically the trigger for Stonewall Gauntlet being devoted to the combat chain would be wasted before the Art of War is played. So
and he decides to banish that art of the 100 wins
Mhm.
to draw, which makes sense since he just pitched the other one.
Let's see what we've got from Brodie Spurlock. Is that 2 levels of enlightenment, or is that a chi card? Is that homage to ancestors?
I thought
couldn't
I
quite
saw.
tell.
I think one of was a spinning wheel kick. I just
Ah.
caught a glance of it, but
Yeah, so we must be spinning wheel kick, levels of enlightenment.
And
Here we
Yeah.
go. Spinning wheel kick is up next. Spinning wheel kick coming in for 4 go again. I'm sorry, 5 go again.
right, thank
with
you.
the Art of War.
Yep.
How's
Nicholas.
this? How's the status of his blocking hand?
I didn't catch the cards in his hand. Of course, we do know that he has the defense reaction in Arsenal, which is very useful when you've got to block a very wide Art of War turn, at least when it comes to...
And this is about as much value as you're going to get on a Soul Shield versus a Zen. Most of his attacks are not going to come in for 6, unless they're those generics, weakest links, CNCs, etc.
Yep, so then we've got the levels of enlightenment and 1 blue, so looks
Only
like
one
he
mode
probably
active.
just chose go again. I didn't catch it. Did he draw a card there? I don't think so.
He did not.
Or yeah,
No, we've got 1 card left standing.
could be +2 as well.
hmm
I didn't catch it.
Especially if he likes the card for Arsenal.
Uh-huh.
Although I don't think it's +2, otherwise Nicholas would be losing these footsteps
True.
on chain link resolution.
Yep.
So must have been go again.
Makes sense. 4 go again.
Both players kind of having a laugh here. Ah, it is buff power. Brodie
Whoa.
just asked if Nicholas is taking 5. I wonder if Nicholas realized that he was going to lose these footsteps.
Yeah.
So Phantasmal Footsteps, a great blocking card, especially when your opponent is closing the chain constantly. You can devote them to the combat chain, pay 1, and they will get 1 block for the remainder of the turn. The rub, Michael, is if they are defending an attack with power 6 or greater, they will pop
Yeah.
once the chain link is resolved.
A defensive piece with Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
Not that common, but we see this on the Phantasmal Footsteps as well as one of the special D-reacts that Prism got, or I guess Illusionists got. We don't see it all that often, but sometimes it makes its way into a meta where 6 power attacks are not that common.
Mm-hmm.
This, however, is not that meta.
Yeah, and with Brutes running rampant, it makes sense. However, back in the days of the Lexi meta, Flicker Trick was a real staple in these Illusionist decks. Both players having a think still.
Yeah, very interesting to commit the Phantasmal Footsteps here. I'm not sure.
He could just be thinking we're at a point in the game where he's not super worried about getting popped anymore, or he'd just rather cash in the defensive value when he
Yeah,
can.
I mean, he did have the 1 floating.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well, right? If this is the last time you're going to block with those footsteps, you might as well just go for it.
5 damage taken. Clean it up.
Yeah,
Goodbye to the
there they go.
Phantasmal Footsteps.
So a fully conscious decision, it seems.
Seems like they never really existed in the first place,
Yeah.
Michael.
Nicholas Tagg now sitting at 13 life. Brodie Spurlock at 27.
Mm-hmm.
And he still has the majority of his meaningful equipment. So Nicholas Tagg not out of the woods yet. Really needs to put on the pressure and build up a board of angels to hide behind if he wants to survive this. Oh, is that a Chase the Tail and an Art of War in Brodie Spurlock's hand?
We didn't catch that Arsenal card, so we don't know what he's sitting on naturally. Nicholas in the tank here, hopefully not getting tilted by that loss of the footsteps. It is a double Art of War in Brodie Spurlock's hand. However, the context of the hand is everything when you've got double Art of War. It's one of those power cards that can be extremely good when you stack them together. It can also be a little bit clunky. But here comes Herald of Protection in the yellow for Nicholas Tagg. This is 6 go again. On hit, straight to soul with that Herald. Grab a Figment, turn on the chess piece, and create a Spectral Shield.
Brodie does not have any poppers this time. Doesn't seem like he cares, because this is the time to go.
Go what, Michael?
Go wide. He's going wide. He's going and fetching a Chi. He's going and fetching another combo card and a Tiger, and he's got an Art of War.
Boy, howdy.
Nicholas needs to pray that he survives on this next turn, and he knows it. He's looking at that block, and this is the moment that he knew was coming eventually. Just hoped it never happened.
Surely we draw a Tome of Divinity on this next hand. Activate Halo and get ourselves an ALS. Surely? Surely? Okay, our Herald is connected. Looks like we're going to look for the Figment. We have remembered our Spectral Shield trigger this time.
Very good.
Which could be the difference between life and death. We see that there are ALSs in this deck. Just haven't been able to find them as of yet.
Yeah.
Nicholas wondering if any of these angels are the key to his success. We find the Figment of Rebirth. Empyrean Rapture is active at this point, so he can flip it for free if he'd like.
Could be risky to give that up now. Is this perhaps a turn to flip the Erudition, or is that risky too?
It could be. That last card is in his hand, yes?
Right.
Which means he could go ahead and swing the the Angel of Erudition, banish a card from Soul, draw 2 more. I think it makes a lot of sense.
It could be the time. Of course, you would like to keep that Angel around for as long as possible, and you're not keeping that Angel after a block with the
Traverse the Universe.
Traverse the Universe.
Right you are, Michael. This turn that is going to come back at Nicholas is going to be very scary. So he elects to flip the Angel of Rebirth instead, probably just saying, I want to sink below sitting on board.
Yeah, and yeah, he just arsenaled like in the Ward 4.
Brodie kicking it off with an Art of War. Pretty much his only option, because he needs to get rid of this Chase the Tail in his hand and figure out something else to do. Art of War is still just sitting on the stack.
Right.
That's
did
the delay.
He banish anything? Or?
Not as of yet.
Okay. So he hasn't chosen modes.
And the reason we're sitting here with Art of War on the stack is there's a possibility of an ALS, which is indeed in Nicholas's hand. However, he doesn't have a whole lot of resources otherwise.
Yep, and there it is.
So this is just going to be, I'm going to commit my entire hand to turning off this turn. I'm going to say, I got a power card out of you. That's great. And see if you can do anything about it. However, Brodie Spurlock's sporting some boots that allows him to get around this.
Yeah, and he has the Chi in hand to pay for them, so may have just prevented the use of the Zen Hero power with the ALS, but he certainly did not prevent the use of 5 cards going straight into his face.
Yeah, even so, yeah, ultimately you have to live in order to play Flesh and Blood, and Nicholas Tagg is basically saying, I think that this Angel and Spectral Shield are all I need to survive this turn.
And he even has the resources to use the Zen Hero power. Thinking about it, pulling back.
He's also still got that other Art of War, so he could elect to roll the dice again.
And it looks like he's rubbing the Chi on the table as if there was some kind of random luck component, and he's praying for the right thing to happen.
Brodie's showing his Azalea chops. That's typically
right,
Azalea thing
right.
with the
Please,
blind
please,
Azalea.
please.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he did it. He found the bonds exactly where it needed to be. Gets the Zen activation.
You mean
bonds
in the deck?
right on top of the deck. Perfect find. And this is not looking good.
No, indeed. We are going to go for that second Art of War. Banish Yield Tiger, which we got from the Zen ability, essentially making no downside to the Art of War. Let's see what Brodie drew.
This is looking bad.
We got another Chi, another the Blue Descendant, which is probably going to have to be the combo card for the Bonds of Ancestry we found off of the Zen activation. The plus side for Nick is that this, when your opponent is sporting a Bonds and 2 Art of Wars, this is the moment to go for that Stonewall Gauntlet, because once Brodie has played the Descendant Gust Wave, he's not going to be able to close the chain if he wants to be able to play the card that, well, if he wants to, for 1, play the Bonds, and 2, play the card that Bonds fetches.
And Brodie intelligently starting with a non-combo card. So if Nicholas did decide to commit the Stonewall Gauntlets here, they would be a block 2.
Yeah.
They wouldn't really get all that much value.
Yeah. So it's, even though this Angel and Spectral Shield are going to eat up the bulk of this damage, it's still going to leak, and we still have a lot of cards coming his way.
Yep.
This is probably lights on Nicholas Tagg's.
Blocking 5 of that 7.
Mm-hmm.
Go again, draw a card. Man, Celestial Cataclysm has nothing on that.
Brodie Spurlock just crossing his T's, dotting his I's,
Mm-hmm.
making sure he's got all the pieces he needs to end Nicholas's career here at Battle Hardened San Diego. And even with the Stonewall Gauntlet, it's essentially only negating one of these Art of Wars, and usually Zen only needs 1 Art of War to have a nasty turn.
Yeah. Yeah, Nicholas, is it no cards in hand?
It's no cards in hand. Every single one of them was devoted to the ALS.
Surely Brodie can't do 11 damage with what's left.
Surely. He may survive a little bit. Okay, so let's do the math here. We've got Descendant Gust Wave coming in for 3. That's going to be eaten up for 2.
Eaten up for, no, it's coming in for 5 because of double Art of War.
That would be a blue Descendant, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it sure
excuse
is.
me. Okay.
So this is 3. Stonewall Gauntlet must be devoted to the combat chain here in order to get full value. That's going to bring the damage leaking through down to 1.
Okay.
Then here comes Bonds afterwards, which is going to come in for 5. That's 6 total so far. Bonds is going to fetch any card, essentially, in Brodie's deck. It's probably going to be, at this point, the Mauling Chi, I believe. Oh, no, it's going to be 100 wins.
Okay. So
what do we
just
have
a
left
5
in the
damage.
hand? Man, Brodie still has a card left in hand.
Yeah.
And if it's 100 wins, I think that might be curtains. So Bonds is going to connect for 5. That means there's only 5 damage left. And surely if Brodie is banishing 100 wins, to fetch 100 wins, I think he's got what's left.
And
Yes.
There's 100 wins for 5, which should just do it.
It'll connect for 4, though,
Oh,
because
right.
of
Excuse
Stonewall.
me. Thank you.
And then it's Winds of Eternity.
Yeah. Might as well have been 100 wins.
Yeah. And what a close for Brodie Spurlock.
Brodie
What a turn.
Spurlock locks it in for the final match.
Brodie
against Kano.
showcasing the awesome tech choice of Time Skippers, especially in a deck, like you said, that is, even though it's an aggro deck and a ninja deck to boot, blues are its best friend.
Absolutely. Yeah, you saw he pitched 4 blues that turn, so he had no trouble paying for the Time Skippers, getting right around that ALS and closing the deal. Nicholas Tagg needing to commit his entire hand for that, and Brodie just committed 1 card.
Yeah. Yeah, one blue is a very low cost to pay to
Absolutely.
steamroll your way through an ALS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well played to both of them.
indeed so. Very, very huge props to Nicholas Tagg for getting this far. Undefeated until now.
Wow. Yeah, first place and then falling to the Zen.
Yeah.
And Brodie Spurlock just showing up and winning Flesh and Blood events so much. Very impressed with the guy.
Which means, Michael, what is our final match going to look like?
Oh, yeah. We got the Zen versus Kano. This is a good one. I really like this because typically Kano sort of scoffs at aggro decks. I'm the better aggro deck, he says. But in the case of Zen, being able to bring a lot of blues and Arcane Barrier, he's got the defense. So this can be a very swingy matchup. It can really depend on how the Kano draws and how the Zen draws, and it can fall either way. And sometimes you get a very close match, and sometimes you don't.
Yes.
We're just going to have to wait and see. And both players, Brodie and whoever won, I'm sure, you know, if it was Majin or Eugene, they're both ready to go against Zen. Two very talented Kano players, making it so that Kano got to the top once again in a Flesh and Blood tournament.
Indeed so, Michael. We're going to go ahead and check in on the status of the Kano Mirror matchup. And once that has concluded, we will be right back with the finals of Battle Hardened San Diego, where we will see Fire versus Mist duking it out for the title. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Flesh and Blood after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Kano mirror is still firing off, so we decided to bring a familiar face to the screen. Brodie Spurlock, fresh off of your semifinals victory here at Battle Hardened San Diego. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I am ready for the finals. We're going to try to stop Kano from winning another Battle Hardened today, and instead Zen will win another event. I feel like both of them are formidable opponents. Kano Mirror is like arguably the most intense matchup in the format, perhaps, or like most difficult. You got to know your stuff. I don't know. There are a lot of hard ones out there, but they're grinding it away right now. Last I checked, life totals were like 3 to 6. They both have multiple epots in play, so
Wow.
yeah.
And here's the thing. You mentioned it being a taxing matchup. They've played this exact matchup twice today.
yeah.
They've played one on stream already, and now it's a rematch.
They played each other in Swiss.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so very mentally taxing for both of them, I'm sure. Let's talk about your matchup, though. There's a card that absolutely sang in that Prism matchup. What was it, Brodie?
It was Time Skippers. Yeah, I think Time Skippers is very strong. I, at first, when I picked up Zen, was not playing it, and then when I found out that was something people were doing, I was like, huh. I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, dang, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When I play against Prism, I feel like ALS is normally like the lose con.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, especially you block with the hat and shoes together. You've got your 6-card hand, and then all of a sudden you've dealt, maybe 1 damage, and you pass, and now your hand contains a tiger, and all your stuff is gone, and your Artivore's gone. It's really bad news. I think Time Skippers is really strong. Not too much to say about it. I guess it's kind of self-explanatory. In that game, I did end up getting ALS, which I think as the Prism, once you see the Time Skippers in play, it's got to be a pretty tough choice whether to actually fire off the ALS.
Especially when you're pitching out the entirety of your hand to do it. And so how stoked were you seeing your hand and knowing that you basically got a free reign to present lethal?
I was pretty happy. It also kept getting better. So he did it in response to the first Artivore. I was like, okay, I think at that point, maybe my only blue in hand was the Chi, but I was like at the very, I know for sure I will be able to get 2 action points in some way. I draw my first 2 cards. It's 2 blues, and then I Artivore again and draw 2 more blues. So just infinite resources to activate the Time Skippers and a 0 cost to pick off the ALS, which is pretty nice.
And hey, why not a Levels of Enlightenment with all modes active while you're at it?
Yeah, that's the first time that's happened to me where Time Skippers contributes to levels.
That's
cool.
pretty amazing. Yeah, it just like an extra bit of synergy, because why not?
Yeah.
Let's talk about another spicy card that we saw at the top of that game. Was that a Sift that we saw you play turn 0?
That was a Sift. So I'm a reasonably big fan of Sift in Zen. I'm only playing 2 at the moment. I think it's probably like the worst blue card in the deck, but basically I've tried a lot of different blues and ultimately decided I just wanted a 3-block in that spot. So it's possible that some 2-block is better, but I think of the 3 blocks available, I'm a pretty big fan of Sift because it's 0 cost, has go again, and the sync, especially like early on in the game, all those things help you transcend, and that's really what I want out of my blues. I just want to be able to transcend early and often, and Sift helps with that a lot. Every time you draw it on turn 0, if your hand doesn't have a transcend card, you pretty much just fire it off, put 2 cards under and draw 2. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, honestly, once I saw you play it, because, I don't play a whole lot of Zen, but anytime I do, I literally just want 0 cost blues with Go again, right, to enable transcends, and yeah, what the heck, why not? So you said it's part of the blue base, so it never comes out of the deck, is that correct?
Maybe you sideboard it out sometimes with weird in and outs and stuff, but for me it's a main deck card.
Okay, very cool. And I guess it kind of sung here, because were you able to get a good fix off of it on turn 0? Do you remember?
So I actually think I made a mistake on turn 0. My hand was Sift, Drop in the Ocean, Tiger Swipe, Spinning Wheel Kick. And I decided to sync both of the combo cards and dig for a couple things. Maybe another Transcend card, maybe mostly just cards that have potential to actually end up dealing damage turn 0. Any 0 cost Go again would be really good. Also dig toward poppers, which I did end up drawing a popper.
Yes.
But I think it was a mistake. I think the best line with that hand was play Sift, let it resolve, play Tiger Swipe for 2. He gets to block and filter however he wants because he knows it doesn't have Go again. Path aside, I guess. And then just play the drop on the Tiger Swipe and hold the Chi in hand, Arsenal Spinning Wheel. Because basically the fact that my 4-card hand had a guaranteed Transcend available, and I shipped it away and risked not having that, and in the end, didn't end up transcending that turn,
Mhm.
and ended up, I think playing. Did I end up? Oh, I ended up IPing the drop and then like pitching it or something on the following turn. So I
Yeah.
ended up never transcending with that card.
Mhm.
So that particular hand, because I already had a transcend card, I actually think was not a good showcase of Sif's power. I guess it was still a go again blue, so it enabled the play that I should have made.
Yeah.
I actually let Sift psyop me there into being a dummy, but
Well, and you definitely presented it to us, and I was sitting here next to Michael, like grabbing his arm, like, is that a Sift in a Zen deck? So I'm glad you played it, just so we could see it, and those folks at home could see it as well. I want to talk about another moment during that match where I kind of I'm a bit of a loud laugher, and I think you guys heard me over in the feature match area. Luckily, I wasn't giving any information away. I was just laughing at one of your ticks that I think definitely comes from a lot of Azalea play. You were really rubbing that Arsenal card as though it was like a blind Azalea, and you're really hoping for that Endless Arrow to close out the game or something like that.
yeah. It's like I guess I fidget with it when I'm thinking it might come from Azalea because like it's like when you Harmony. No, Harmony's not a good example. I don't know, anything. Oh yeah, Harmony. I'll like
Yeah,
put
no,
the
Harmony
top
works.
card
Yeah.
on the table and like flip it over.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe with the Arsenal it's the same thing. All that time playing Azalea and warming it up. That's funny. I would not have noticed that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Speaking of Azalea, I'm an Azalea main. Do you miss it?
Yes and no. Azalea is a lot of fun to play, but to be honest, I was kind of happy to switch to something else recently because I felt like I've been playing Azalea for so long as pretty much like the only deck I was working on, and I felt like I was starting to get a little bit deep into like too much of like, I don't know, like hero main syndrome where I felt like every tournament I was like, man, I have so much practice on Azalea, it probably just makes more sense to play this than anything else. And that kept happening. And for Nats, when Miss Veil was coming out, I was like, I'm not even going to try the other heroes. I'm just going to play into them as Azalea. I'm just going to like lock it early because I have so many reps. I think it's probably going to be good. And I personally regret not playing Zen for Nats. I didn't play a single game as a Zen until after the tournament.
Wow.
And once I tried playing as it, I was like, this deck's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard you had a pretty funny interaction with Evan Herndon, who won Nationals, where you were kind of like, "What? Why have I ever been playing Azalea?" Zen is so powerful.
And I mean, like, Azalea is still a strong hero, but I feel like the main reason you would play her in the past is, like, to prey on these low-to-the-ground aggro decks. And if she's not shutting down, like, the premier aggro deck
Yeah.
of the format, then, like, I feel like some of the draw to play her is just gone.
Exactly, especially when you consider the value proposition of hitting your random Prism or Enigma in the middle of the tournament, which is inevitably going to happen. So if you can't inevitably beat Zen, then maybe it's better to leave her at home.
With that said, though, just want to give some love to all of the Azalea players out there because, I mean, she is still a strong deck. She still has good matchups, and you can still beat Zen. So I feel like I don't want to end that on a discouraging note. I just think she is not as good as Zen.
I will take you not leaving that on the discouraging note. I'm not stopping to play her anytime soon, but I hear you on the power of Zen. And that's the way it is. And so let's see, Brodie, does this make 67 Battle Hardened victory or potential finals for you? Or are we about at that number? I think we're approaching it for sure, right?
I am definitely...
Do you keep track anymore?
I like to like kind of keep track of like stats and stuff, mostly just because I think it's interesting. But
Yeah.
I do not know the answer to that question though. No, I'm excited to be in the top 8 and have made it to the finals. Excited to go up against one of these Kano players. At a Battle Hardened recently, Majin knocked me out, I think, in the top 4.
Grudge
Something like
match.
that, which top 4 is always kind of the most sad place to lose. You made it all the way, and then you don't quite get the PTI.
Mhm.
So it would be cool to get a little bit of a rematch there. I've played him several times. Obviously, a really strong player.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to it, Brodie. I'm going to let you get a little bit of time in the think tank, maybe to relax, eat another ham sandwich, that kind of thing, and then we will see you for finals, Battle Hardened San Diego. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sticking around, folks. We've got more Flesh and Blood action after this. Don't go anywhere.
Sometimes in our great game of Flesh and Blood, a finals is exciting when two new faces grace our screens, players creating a name for themselves in front of our very eyes. And sometimes these games are exciting when two absolute titans of our field and our game do clash and do battle, and that is the finals we have today. Majin Bay on Kano, the Drakai of Aether, versus Brodie Spurlock on Zen, the Tamer of Purpose, the agreed upon best deck in the format versus a specialist's specialist. Let's get down into the finals. You ready, Bryce?
I'm so ready, Sam.
Let's get into
Shall I hit the button, Sam?
Hit the button, please, good sir. There they are, the two players themselves, our third and our fourth seed here, the final round of the battle-hardened Brodie Spurlock versus Majin Bay. We're going to have to be a little quiet as we talk about this game because players have made their way home after a long day of battle-hardened gaming. We've just got these last couple players from the battle-hardened and some stragglers hanging out and playing just some good old casual fab in the background on the tables behind us. But Bryce, when you're looking at these players, when you're looking at these heroes, what is coming to mind?
I'm seeing a telltale story of fire versus wind. The mists are coming for the flame that burns so bright in Kano, Drakai of Aether. And burn bright he will have to in order to close this game out against Brodie Spurlock on Zen Tamer of Purpose, who have just been playing incredibly well, but also drawing so hot in these feature matchups, getting exactly what he needs. We've seen him draw natural Descendant Bonds turns right and left. We've seen him resolve levels of enlightenment with all three modes active straight through an ALS to close out a game. And here he goes, sporting his little take on Zen Spice, the Sift in turn 0. He's found one once again. Gonna see if he can fix his hand, find his way to a Transcend earlier rather than later. Let's see what he was able to draw off of that.
See, there's a Stir the Pot and a Blue Descent Gustwave, and I think an aspect of the Tiger body, so a good couple of cards. An early Transcension is absolutely possible. Do have a Spell Void 1 on the table there for Brodie, as well as, of course, the Null Rune Gloves, the Tide Flippers, and the Arcane Barrier, but the Zen State token could also do some major work in this matchup, preventing a bunch of damage. For now, the first game action following the Sift is the Stir the Pot and the Transcension, of course, gaining the resource off the 12-petal Kasaya. And now it's time for an immediate Zen activation. He's going to go ahead and, before he shuffles, just resolve the Zen search, because Why shuffle twice when you can only shuffle once?
Indeed. Brodie showcasing the power of that blue Sif that he was just talking about in an interview. It's just a transcend enabler. All he wants are 0-cost blues with Go Again and block 3. And Sift is one that not only does everything he wants in terms of activating his transcend cards, it also fixes his hands and finds those critical combo pieces. Here comes Crouching Tiger for 0. Followed up shortly by a Chase the Tail. Majin saving as much life as he can in this turn 0 of the finals of Battle Hardened San Diego.
That's going to buy another 3 block and then another Tiger for 3. That'll buy the final 3 block out of the hand. Looks as though the final card there for Brodie going to be arsenaled on the turn.
Majin finding the exact amount of block value he needs to not take a single point of damage in that turn 0 exchange.
No Kindles, no Epots, no Potions of Deja Vu. All cards that block 3, which many of these wizard cards do. Aether Flare going to be the pitch. Let's Kano for the first time Majin. He's got to find some good cards to start off before Brodie can put enough pressure on. Gaze the Ages is a great way to start.
Indeed. Indeed it is, Sam. And this time on stream, Majin Bay sporting Kano's typical staff of choice, the Crucible of Aetherweave, which means that this Aether Flare is going to come in for 4, not 3. It's going to buff that next source of arcane damage. Brodie in the think tank about what to block here. Any card devoted to Majin Bay on the defense here is one that he won't have access to on his turn, which means he also won't have access to defense on the turn where it counts. Majin Bay wants to pop off on Brodie's turn. That's when Aether Wildfire is active. That is when he can do the multiplicative damage that is going to take Brodie from a big 4-0 to a big 0.
Big 0. Something I want to call some attention to, the Spell Fray Tiara, the Spell Void one of choice for Brodie Spurlock. Naturally, you're putting it in the head slot because Kanos most of the time are not going to be attacking you that often, if at all, with actual physical attacks. But that also means that even though the Spell Void 1 can potentially be the thing that changes the tide of battle in Brodie's favor, it also means you don't get access to that chi on demand. When your opponents are throwing attack actions, you can block with your Traverse and, of course, grab the card. Brodie's going to have to just have the chi when he needs it naturally, not going to be able to grab it on demand. Similar with the Tide Flippers, no Stride of Reprisals to turn on those Art of Wars. Kano attacks due to different access, and Brodie now immediately into the think tank deciding how much of this does he want to take. The answer immediately so far is 0, down to 36. Aether Flare now buffing the next attack, so it's time to dig for that attack with the Gaze the Ages.
And dig he will. Let's see if we can see what he's going to grab. Yeah, it's just a 0 cost.
I think that goes to Quickening. No,
that was an Aether Quickening.
Yeah, so that's going to be a nice red attack that's going to be buffed up. So this one's going to come in for 8 here, thanks to the Aether Flare with the 1 floating. The Gaze the Ages came right back to hand. 8 arcane damage. Brodie's just going to take it down to 28. He might have a powerful hand of his own.
Kano, the hero in the CC format that starts with the least amount of life, has already evened the playing field against Brodie Spurlock. He's under 30. I wonder if in this matchup, Sam, Majin Bay is bringing those Wounded Bulls. I would have to imagine they would be left at home, but it could be an interesting axis to attack Brodie on because he's left all of his really critical blocking equipment at home.
Brodie there, sending the Zephyr Needle out to die, probably knowing it was going to get broken immediately, but taking a card out of the way is time for a blue to send in Gust Wave, and most likely we know what that means.
Indeed we do.
Drop in the ocean, yeah. In the resolution step, going to transcend, gain another resource off the 12 petal Kaseya, and then, of course, an immediate Zen activation. Let's go grab a Bonds, and most likely grab maybe the Aspect of Tiger Body, maybe the Chase the Tail, something that was the plate on the turn 0. Let's see what the pick is for Brodie here.
It's definitely going to be Bonds of Ancestry. Eeny, meeny, miny, Bonds of Ancestry is definitely the choice here.
Oh, yeah. I guess I meant after the Bonds of Ancestry. Like, I was talking about the cards that are in the graveyard.
Exactly.
Once you get the Bonds of Ancestry, that's a foregone conclusion from this point. Absolutely true.
Indeed so. Brodie is no stranger to the optimal lines of this Zen deck.
Majin Bay giving it just the little tap there, something I am no stranger to doing myself, but Majin has taken the damage now down to 25 after the Bonds of Ancestry. Here's the Aspect of Tiger Body. Majin's going to take this as well. No Art of War on this turn, so not as powerful as some of the other Zen turns we have seen. Majin's going to have to develop something like an E-Pot to feel completely comfortable and confident utilizing all the resources to go for the kill. Majin, of course, has come so close so many times in these tournaments, fighting for that, I believe, maybe first battle-hardened victory. He has been in the top 8 more times than I can count. I think he's gotten second a number of times at these battle hardens. Brodie, of course, no stranger to winning PTIs and winning these tournaments all over the world. Majin down to 18 so far in this turn. Let's see how Brodie wants to continue it.
Majin looking really comfortable taking this damage, honestly. And Brodie's still got a blue to devote to defense, but that Tiger in his hand is not going to do anything as far as Arcane Barrier goes. So Brodie's going to have to think long and hard about whether or not he wants to actually deploy that Levels of Enlightenment. He goes for it. Brodie has tapped out. Now Majin has the opportunity to unga bunga his way to a finals victory here at Battle Hardened San Diego, if he has it.
The mode might have been +2 draw a card, and the answer was +2 draw a card, so that's a card for the arsenal. Majin going to fall all the way down to 13. Looks as though maybe put some blasting pressure on, try to get Brodie Spurlock's life a little more manageable, and then hope that the 4 cards on the top are going to go ahead on the next turn and finish this thing out.
And what a way to do that. Let's go ahead and set up a Lesson in Lava coming in for 4. Brodie is going to have the opportunity to block 3 of this, but no matter what, 1 is going to go through. And you better believe that Majin has accounted for the possibility that Brodie pitches a blue here. Although, Brodie is not really want to do so because he needs as much defensive capability as he can on his turn, not Majin's. If you donate cards here, you're kind of playing into his game plan, which is rip cards out of your hand on my turn and then cheat another turn out with my boots.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see how many resources Brodie wants to devote to the defense here. Majin's all the way down to 13. Over half his life has been depleted thanks to that first Bonds of Ancestry turn. You can see Brodie having a real think. He's got his thinking cap on for sure. The brow is furrowed. He is not liking what he's thinking about.
He's having internal conflict.
Yeah, I feel like maybe he somehow got a little like lemon suck, like shoot, you know, like candy or something with the way the face is puckering.
Do you feel like Brodie has like a Smeagol Gollum thing going on where he's got
something is speaking to him?
There's a little Brodie in his head. Yeah. Transcend Brodie.
Transcend Brodie. Yeah, probably. I think. I mean.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that the key to his power?
Looks as though that is going to take the blue Descendant Gust Wave out of the hand, so only 1 damage coming across, and now Majin can search for a card with cost 1 or less to put on top of the deck for a Kano activation.
Now, this could also just be a way to shore up. Ah, yes, we're just going to chain together the Lessons in Lava.
Yeah, very good.
Then he could end this turn by using that Lessons in Lava to just secure the combo piece he needs to win the game in perhaps Blazing Aether and use it as a Ragamuffins target next turn. Or he could also just ensure that he gets a blue, find that, put it on top, draw it up for the next turn.
Yeah, maybe even grab. We'll have to see exactly what the play is. This one, of course, Lesson in Lava for 3. If Brodie Spurlock does commit a blue here, then it will, in fact, stuff the Lesson in Lava, but then his turn is looking quite a bit worse, especially with that needle being destroyed thanks to the 3 block on Majin base turn.
And if Majin has found one of those critical combo pieces and he's going to tuck it in Arsenal, then he's just fine just ripping another card out of Brodie's hand.
Second Descendant Gust Wave committed to defense here. That's going to buy the turn from Majin. He's going to go ahead and Arsenal up. So Brodie just 2 cards to work with and an Arsenal. How much pressure can he put here on Kano? Tiger Swipe for 2. Going to be the play to start things off.
No go again. No pressure to speak of. However, Brodie is holding back what could be a lot of defensive potential. These Zen decks have so many blues. So Majin, if he decides to go for the kill here, he is going to be counting those cards in Brodie's hand as blues. We know at least one of them is not. I know I saw a red spinning wheel kick. Is that a red Descendant
maybe a red
as
Descendant.
well?
Yeah, maybe a red Descendant as well. Brodie may be here reading that Majin's not going to try to just pop off 2 cards in hand, even though Brodie might just pass priority move to Arsenal. He's just kind of potentially reading that Majin's not going to try to do it with no E-Pots. Brodie's still having 2 cards in hand. Brodie did correctly assess that. Majin allows the priority to be passed. Card headed to the Arsenal there.
Makes you wonder if knowing the context of Brodie's hand, Majin would have gone for it there.
I feel like Majin's in a somewhat comfortable, I would say comfortable.
He's been chipping a lot of damage, Sam.
I say comfortable with hesitation because it's going to rely a lot on the 4 cards that are drawn on the turn that Brodie is able to present enough damage that forces Majin to block. But an Aether Spindle for 5 does so much work in sculpting that next hand because I believe we are close to the point that Majin's just going to have to go for it. Press the Kano button, even without an E-Pod online if you can't develop it this turn, because at 11 life, Zen is able to, cough, and 11 damage is thrown on the combat chain. So it's going to be it's going to be blocking time for Majin pretty soon, no matter what. And if he needs to draw the perfect 4 cards to blow up Brodie Spurlock, and Aether Spindle is a great way to do so. He might be looking pretty good in these next couple of turns, but it's going to depend on the top of the deck. 4 reds could spell doom. A bunch of cards Kano'd that do nothing could also be really challenging. And it looks as though Brodie just going to take the 5 down to 22. You have to imagine Majin is licking his chops.
Yes, absolutely. And perhaps the Aether Spindle in the hand is the reason that Majin decided, like, why introduce any variance here? Why not just send the Aether Spindle for 5, completely fix this next hand, and then go into it with a full swing when Brodie comes in with offensive potential.
And look at this. It looks like he has an E-Pod in those 5 cards, still has a card in the hand, could now Kano into an energy potion on this turn and decide which of those 5 cards he wants to make sure he has on his very next turn. I think Majin is in a very, very good position here.
Absolutely. I think you're right about that, Sam. Let's take a look at Brodie's hand. It's pretty red heavy, Sam.
Yeah.
We have 1 blue to speak of.
There's a lot of reds.
That is not going to be able to do much.
Is Ancestral Harmony in the back? Is that what that is?
Yes, I believe that's an Ancestral Harmony. So Brodie is probably, the thought process is probably like, I cannot devote my only blue to this Aether Spindle, right? And if I devote any reds, I'm kind of face up against Majin. And he will know that I'm pretty weak on my turn and won't think twice about sending all that crackling arcane damage my way.
22 life for Brodie Spurlock, 11 life for Majin. Brodie is currently double Majin's life total, but that can change in a flash of fire against Kano. Again, Brodie kind of priced into the Aether Spindle damage here, and this is a large part of why Majin brought this deck. Zen, super powerful, does have access to so many blues, but if the hand doesn't line up kind of perfectly turn 1 or turn 2, it's pretty easy for Kano to just go absolutely nuts, and Zen might not have the tools to stay alive at the end of it.
Brodie is the Zephyr that is trying to blow out the flaming candle that is Kano Jerkai of Aether.
Let's go.
Seems like it may not be the case today. Majin just deciding exactly how we want to order these cards on top of the deck.
And of course, still a card in the arsenal and 2 cards in the hand here. Only 1 card opting away. Bad sign if you're fans of Zen. 4 cards being left on top. Immediate Kano. I have to imagine it's the E-Pod. Yep, the E-Pod going to be coming down from there. And then that means the next 3 cards are joining the 1 card that Majin kept in his hand.
And so those cards are probably all blues. Majin knows he's got the resources he needs.
No blocks, no reaction. Majin heading down to 7 until Brodie makes him block. Majin is most likely not going to, and the question is how many cards, how many resources is Brodie going to try to hold back here? This is 3 damage. Go again with the Descendant Gust Wave. Majin doesn't have to block this one either. Down to 4.
Majin is going to wait until the last possible second when Brodie has devoted as many resources as possible to killing him. And here we are. Lethal is on the stack, and Majin has the green light. We know that Brodie has no more blues left in hand. It's a red. There's almost no chance that Majin can't break through these arcane defenses.
Cindering Foresight, going to go ahead and opt 3.
And also Pseudo Amp 1. If he's able to find that Aether Wildfire, if that combo piece is indeed in the arsenal, it's going to be a tall order, even if Brodie did have a blue.
Blazing Aether on top, Energy Potion on top, and an Aether Spindle on top. Majin does have to block this attack, and there is no block value represented on his equipment at all. If Majin wants to stay alive, a card has to be committed to the block here, or he has to finish the game through arcane damage right here, right now.
And he's definitely going to be mathing this turnout, again, thinking that Brodie has a blue on board.
Put the cards back. Gonna go ahead and resolve the first.
We're just going to go ahead and banish both of those cards that we found on top with the Cindering Foresight. There are no resources floating, but we've got the Spellfire Cloak, and we've also got the Energy Potion at the ready. That's a free Kano activation. In this case, free Stormstriders.
Spellfire Cloak, Stormstriders. Time to draw 2 cards off the Tome of Aetherwind. A little laugh from Brodie there.
Stormstriders targeting Tome of Aetherwind. It wasn't a huge combo piece, Sam.
Yeah, drawing that blue off the top in the energy potion, most likely just going to be resources on the turn. Let's see what Majin's working with now. A Gaze the Ages, a Zap, and the E-Pot here.
Lots of blues. I don't see the winning line yet, Sam.
There's no line that just absolutely. I mean, I say there's no line, and then I'm going to watch, and Majin's just going to Kano it off the top. With the cards that are currently represented, in his hand and in the banish zone, you cannot deal 22 damage. But the question is, what does the top of the deck have to say about that? Majin, again, kind of like we were talking about in the Kano mirror earlier, or in the game against Enigma, more rather. Majin can do as much damage as he'd like as long as he keeps a 3-block and then stay alive if he forces that final card out of Brodie's hand. But if he doesn't, he's not aware that it might be another 0-cost card that could then finish the job. So Majin here is going to go ahead, Crucible of Aetherweave into the Aether Spindle.
And so this Aether Spindle is for 6 because of the Cindering Foresight and also the activation of Crucible Aetherweave. This is also going to be the point at which
7.
Brodie says, oh, he's going to activate the Metacarpus nodes as well. This is probably going to be the point where Brodie is going to pitch the red, and then Majin just all of a sudden knows he has the green light.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. Look, you can see Brodie's face.
He's like, do I show him now or do I show him later?
Because theoretically, you could keep the red for one of those multiplicative targets, one of the things that stack on each other. You can see Brodie once again, bad taste in his mouth as he's looking over this game. I don't like this at all. He's saying. And I don't blame you, bud. I
think I've made this face in this exact this exact position, Sam.
Leave it to Brodie, even when there is truly only 2 decisions to be made, to explore all the possible sub-trees and sub-decisions that could exist. But this is what makes him such a luminary player. He considers all the options.
This is why he's been in this exact spot in the finals of Battle Hardened time and time again.
Yeah, both of these players are just no stranger to top-cutting tournaments, to winning tournaments. This is a true clash of the Titans here in sunny San Diego.
Sam, this is why I love the Southern California scene, basically. You get to play against the players at the height of their flesh and blood careers every single day. Like, we see Majin for AGE sometimes. We see his teammates, Peter Budensek. We see Eugene Glipchek, who has tried to take him down several times today. And Brodie goes ahead, shows both the red and the Spellfray Tiara. Majin, he's basically playing a game of solitaire at this point. Can I find 17 damage? I don't even have to think about AB anymore.
Kindle on the top of the deck as well. 3 blues, Tome of Aetherwind. Those are going to be the 5 cards that Majin Bey is getting to look at here. Again, could just try to stay alive at 1 if he needs to, but the question is, can he find the 17 damage?
And he's going to have the answer to that question once he resolves this opt. He can see it, Sam. He knows that victory is within his grasp.
Now, critically, when you look at a card like Kindle, you can't Kano Kindle off the top. Kano only allows you to banish non-attack actions and then play them as an instant, but actual instants just hang out on the top of the deck hang on the top of the deck and can't be banished to Kano's effect. Powerful card, draws you cards, gives you that amped, but unfortunately not able to be resolved off the top, so Majin's going to have to be careful with where he places that.
This is still a really high-stakes situation. These players have been going since 10 o'clock this morning. Mistakes can happen.
Yeah, closing in on 11 hours of flesh and blood for these players. Our final 2, 7 rounds of Swiss, the top 8. 90-odd to 100 players here. It's all come down to this. Playing for the PTI, the gold cold foil, the cash, and the glory for both of these players. Brodie looking to add another tech to his masterful resume of wins at these levels of tournaments. Majin, who has gotten so close to breaking through time and time again, looking to finally claim that battle-hardened champion title. Will this be the turn where he catches his prize?
He must see it, Sam. He just wants to make sure that he's got the win on the stack, on top of the deck with Kano. We've also got a tome. Potentially looking to order it so that he draws that Kindle rather than attempts to banish it.
I can guarantee you Brodie is not bored with this game state. He was literally, at one point during the tournament, before the round came back on, was lying just on the middle of the ground in the convention center.
I
just
honestly
taking
thought
a
we
nap.
needed to call a medic.
Yeah, no, he was just, it was
Thought he was
about
dehydrated
it was
or
about a
something.
4-minute power nap.
Instances of Kano on the stack.
Okay.
And then I'm going to respond with Ragamuffin's Hat.
Okay.
So I'll draw a card.
Yep.
Ragamuffin's Hat here. Gonna go ahead and be the
Draw the
response to the
Kindle.
second Kano. Put the Gaze the Ages back on the top.
So clean, Sam.
And then I will cast Kindle.
Okay.
Kindle gonna be the amp. Gonna draw the card.
I don't know. Here.
That's fine. Yeah, no worries.
Its effect is active.
Kano is running into ninja issues where the combat chain is getting too big. This spell that he is casting is becoming the size of the spirit bomb that Goku channeled with all of the energy of the earth.
Gaze the Ages, finding, I believe, a blazing Aether on top as well.
Okay, resolves.
Resolve the second Kano here. Find second blazing. Little laugh from Brodie.
Kano.
Yep.
At this
Kano off
point,
the top. Let's see what it is.
at this point, Majin is saying how
Aether quickening
much can I
here.
kill you for?
I think you're definitely dead, right?
Majin's saying, I think you're definitely dead, despite the fact that I just banished a blue off the top.
And then we'll
Already dealt 5
You might be
damage
right.
here.
dumb. I'm not dumb, right? I mean, sometimes I am dumb, but I don't think this is one of those.
I don't think Brodie's the only person with a little man inside his head. Majin just confirming with himself that he is not indeed dumb. No, Majin, you are not dumb.
True. Facts.
So this is 4.
1 action point.
1 action point, yes.
Oh yeah, the surge does resolve.
This one will be 10.
My bad. Yep. I will go to. Here, wait. Let's do.
All the way down from the Blazing Aether 2-3, and the Blazing Aether on the stack, and that's gonna be the game.
Surely I'm not messing this up.
Majin Bay is your battle-hardened San Diego champion.
Well, I wasn't gonna sit here and do that math, bro.
You know what, Majin, you've sat here and done that math all tournament long. Congratulations, you are the champion, and we have so much respect for both of these players, absolute titans of the game. It's either Majin's first or second battle-hardened win, but he is a complete luminary of this field, the president, the professor emeritus, the emeritus scolding of the Wizard Council, and he takes down the battle-hardened San Diego. What a match, and what a champion.
Indeed so, Sam. Let's talk about what Majin has won. Brodie, coming in second place, is doing all right. We got $500 plus a PTI. That's A-okay. Majin, however, taking all that and more. Gold cold foil legendary, and then a little surprise
A little
we have in store for
surprise,
him.
Yes.
More on that as Majin reports to the stage for an interview.
Yes, so we will be chatting with Majin about his win. We will be hearing his thoughts on, of course, the upcoming set and what he's looking forward to. And we do have a grand surprise for Mr. Majin Bay, so I hope you'll hang out and stick with us as we give him said surprise and hear from our battle-hardened San Diego champion. Thank you all for hanging out with us and being so active in the chat. I hope you'll stick around. Maybe you can ask Majin some questions in this interview, and you'll see what we have lined up for Majin. So we're going to go ahead and bring him in, take a break. We'll take a 1-minute break, and then we'll hear from Majin. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a couple seconds. Bye. And at the end of all things, there can only be one battle-hardened San Diego champion, and it's Majin Bay. Congratulations to Majin Bay. Well done, my friend. Firstly, the all-important question, how are we feeling?
Good. It's nice to finally actually win instead of just getting second every time.
Yeah,
It feels
so
really good.
this is number one, the first battle-hardened win?
First battle-hardened win. Yeah, I have like 3 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there for a couple of those seconds, and I remember, in, I think, Hartford, right, against Yuki, right?
Yeah.
And L.A. was also second in the battle-hardened, and then San Diego was first, right? San Diego was
oh yeah,
the
you know what?
champion?
It was.
Champion
Yeah,
slot,
I
San
got this
Diego?
really cool thing for it.
Let's absolutely go. Okay, so I know there'll be a full story time. There's already people in the
course,
chat
yeah.
asking for the story
Yeah,
time. You know, there's
always
going to be a
story
whole
time.
video. I've watched them all. I'm a big fan, right? So, but for those of for our fans and friends who've been hanging out all day, what's the condensed story time of the tournament? What's the just like TLDR? What's the story of today for you, and how did it all go so right?
TLDR was actually, I'm like top 25 global elo.
Come on now.
Top 75 gets qualified for Worlds.
Come on now.
But if I lost like 2 to 3 bad rounds in this battle hardened, I lose my Worlds qualification spot. So the story of today was actually me fighting tooth and nail every round to not lose my elo.
Let's go. So sick. All right. Well, I wasn't here for your last interview. People might have not been hanging out, but just talk to me a little bit about what you're looking for. If you could wave the Crucible of Aetherweave, Rosetta coming out.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Ooh, I mean, what I really want right now, I want Verdance to do something wizardy.
Okay.
Because I really like the idea of a slower, grindier wizard, but I need to have like that Frost Hex combo. I need to have something that makes me feel like I'm
Being a
doing
wizard.
cool stuff with spells.
Sure.
So I'm keeping an eye out. But Ausilio, every day he looks cooler and cooler. I'm not gonna lie, he looks more
on now.
interesting every single day.
Okay. Well, I know you got some celebrating to do. We have a little surprise for you.
Okay.
But you wanted to open this cold foil.
I do
first.
want
All
to
right,
open
we're gonna save the surprise for the end. Let's
Okay.
open a gold
gold
foil on stream. Come on.
One time I opened one of these,
Yeah.
and it was a Brute card that I opened, and I'd literally never seen the card before.
Was it like not spoiled skull,
I
but the
don't
other one?
even know. I think that may have been it. Okay.
right.
What's the best way to like show it to?
Why don't we turn so we see it in the thing too, right? Yeah, just
Yeah,
pull it up and then
okay,
flip it.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, here we go.
it is legal flesh and blood.
Is a flesh and blood card, and then you can just flip it, and we'll all see it at the same time. 3,
Set.
2, 1, go. Oh, well, that's a brute card, but that's a good brute card.
That's a good brute card, man. Oh my god.
You kind of called it, but
Apex Thronebreaker does not suck.
are
Wow.
you kidding me, dude? That's
If
a
I'm gonna
great
get
card.
a brute card,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
a pretty
You
good
pretty
one
much
to get.
called it. You said before we went live, you're like, all right, dude, well, if the card's not awesome, you have to fake. You have to,
Yeah.
you have to be like, no, this is not, it's not hard to be stoked about this.
that's pretty good.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so we do have a final surprise for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know what it is?
I do want to know what it is. Yeah.
Okay. That's all you, big dog.
Okay, so I'm actually so excited.
So people have been asking, like, how do you get these cards? How do you get the card? The answer is win the battle harden.
That's so sick.
Come on, do you see this thing?
That's so cool.
Do you see this
That's
thing?
so
They've been
cool.
popping up
Yeah.
all over
I've
the
seen
world.
them on Twitter. I'm like,
Yep.
what is this?
Yeah. Well,
That's so cool.
yeah. So can you tell what hero it is?
That's Dorinthia.
Yeah.
It's an anime Dorinthia.
Okay, so where is it going in your house?
I mean, I'm gonna take it home and I'm gonna put it, and then someone's gonna offer me enough money that I can't say no to.
Hey, you heard it here first.
I'm gonna
You
sell
want
it.
this thing? This is the man to talk to.
I'm
Now
the guy.
the real question is,
Okay.
in the Pitch Stack Mind Palace, where does that thing live?
Ooh. Okay. What would it be? How do I? Okay. So, if I had to put it in my memory palace, I need to memorize it. What makes it different? Well, first of all, it's a person with a sword, and I play wizard, so that's different. But they're anime, so in my head, they would be constantly talking Japanese, like anime style, and everyone would just be like, "What are you talking about?" Everyone would be very confused around them.
There you go. Well, anything else? Any shout outs you want to give? You are the battle hardened champion. You win not only the gold foil, not only PTI, not only cash, but you get this freaking incredible
So excited.
alt art Dorinthia. Anything else you want to say to the people?
Yeah, shout out to Metal Fab Tokens, the boys.
Let's go.
Letting me actually make it to these events, so huge shout out to them. And then if you want to learn to play Kano, I have a Patreon.
Hell yeah.
Nice 30-page Kano guide.
Hell yeah.
A lot more wizard content coming. Check that out.
What's your title? I was saying you're like the Professor Emeritus Scolding of the Wizard Council. What's the official
so that's
title?
funny because the actual name of the Patreon is Wizard Academy.
There you go.
So that works out.
The headmaster himself. Congratulations,
Thank you so
Caleb.
much, man.
Congratulations,
Appreciate
Majin Bay. Such a sick run. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do have another stream tomorrow. It's the final AGE Open of the year. The race is neck and neck for the Players' Championship, and we got a lot of the same prizing coming on. It's going to be at this same channel. It's going to be happening tomorrow right around the same time, so please come hang out with us tomorrow. We've got another incredible day of Fab. I don't know if Kano's going to be blasting, but if this man has anything to say about it, we
I'll do
might
my
have to
best.
say. What are you saying to me? Oh, and we got another spoiler.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
You guys saw that? You guys like that spoiler? You want another one? Come on, sheesh. Can you give me a little sheesh?
Jeez.
We'll see you guys there. Have a great night. Bye. 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 Do I have to do it? Bye.